How come we're recording it?
It's just for us to keep track and
Gotcha.
yeah. Okay.
We hear that you have quite a few procedures, and going back over 300 naming conventions can be tedious if you're trying to remember it from a memory only for perspective.
Can I just share something for a second about that? When gosh, Jocelyn was here, maybe two years ago, when two and a half years ago, when we obviously knew that Cerner was going to be coming and stuff like that. A lady that's no longer here for a different specialty, we sort of looked into Cerner at that time. Like we, Mary printed out your Cerner descriptions, so to speak. So when I was lately in the last year and a bit having to create new codes and such, kind of looked at what Cerner had, tried to emulate it, but I do know the way you guys name it, and it's, nomenclature or whatever. I did leave the first, like say breast. I know in Cerner it's mammography, something, something, something. But when I renamed it, I was cognitive of how it was in Cerner, but still left the breast up front because of our people here. So I have looked at some of this stuff, and I did try and make the change, but I knew that mine would be, there's probably a lot of changes coming to mine. And I'm okay with that. It's the 20 people that are working here that will have to accommodate to that.
All right. Are you able to see my screen, Cheryl?
Yep.
Okay. So as I've sort of explained on the phone, the stuff here that says ORMIS procedure description on the left side, where I have it sort of highlighted, those come from you guys. So those are your procedure lists.
Yep.
To the right here where it says CST proc description, that is the list that we have already on Cerner.
Okay.
We're sort of just matching to see if the names that we have here on your procedures match the ones that we have in Cerner. They're not going to be matching exactly the same, but just to ensure that they're the same procedures, essentially.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll just go through line by line, and you just let us know if you're okay with those names.
How many lines do I have?
I think you have hundreds. It's a lot. Let me just make sure that this is all just yours.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
I mean, the added benefit, like you said, is that most of the kinks are worked out, and most things should have an accurate clinical description that we can steal from another site. So
Yeah,
that's our benefit, I think.
I can tell you when Deb actually had the specialty before I did 5 years ago, like at 2015, I took over this. So we were actually handwriting and then went to ORMIS. So some of these codes I might go, oh wow, like I may have it on the list there, but I never actually created there. I don't know the ones that I created, but some of these, like the abdominal aortic, whatever we have for ours, you most definitely can change it to what you have.
Okay, wonderful.
That, I don't know why it was created like that in the time. I can't explain that. So some of them I'll look at you and go, yeah, by all means, change it.
Okay. All right. So we'll just go line by line. So the first one is abdominal vascular procedures. So it's AAA with bypass iliac esophageal varices. And then we have that as repair aneurysm abdominal aorta. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Cheryl, just before we move on, I don't know, you probably already know, and I'm sure the team has mentioned this, but if there's a code in ORMIS that you don't want to migrate, that you don't want to make available as something that can be booked, you have that power now. You can say, we don't.
What was that?
So let's say there is a code in the ORMIS procedure description that you never use anymore. It's a code that's essentially dead to you guys, but it's just sitting there. You can essentially inactivate it because we can.
So, okay, so like cardioversions, we don't. My specialty, we don't do the cardioversions. That's done in recovery at a different end. So I don't need a DPC that says cardioversion. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Are those patients brought into the operating room ever? No, right?
No, those are done in recovery.
Yeah, so that would be an out of
before the slate. So I wouldn't need that.
Yeah. Stephanie Astley, we wouldn't need the MPL cardioversion, or would we need it as an order because it's part of out of OR?
I'm not 100% sure. I can double check with Caitlin when she's back, but I'm pretty sure we would need that order for.
Yeah, because we book these to PACU. So in Cerner, we add these as orders to an appointment. So we would still have it available to your site because somebody else might use it in this instance.
Okay. So
but that's like a rare occurrence.
So if I'm printing up like a preference list, is that going to come on my preference list?
No, it shows under the specialty of vascular. So the generic.
I know, but I have a vascular and preference list.
You
that-
can inactivate the card and make the
Oh,
card.
gotcha. Okay,
Because
so I
because they
can't,
don't need a card so much for that as they just need an order in the system to be able
so
to
I can
check it.
inactivate it for the OR, but it's still active for somebody else.
The order is, it's like an order that you attach to an appointment. That's how we book our procedures in
We
Cerner.
also make like the orders available by location, so we can just make cardioversion not available for the main OR, so it wouldn't show up there either.
Because right now we don't, but if, and say in future it does happen, then we can reactivate it, correct?
Correct, yeah.
All right, so we'll go to the next line. So we have angioplasty and vascular stenting bilateral. We have that as angioplasty bilateral with stent. Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay. Then our next line, we have vascular angioplasty and vascular stenting unilateral, and we just have that as angioplasty with stent. So we just remove the bilateral. That's okay.
So it wouldn't have to have unilateral?
I think it's sort of assumed that if there's no bilateral, that it would be unilateral
Okay,
for our naming.
okay.
Yeah.
So that's gonna go all the way through then, okay.
All right.
Mm.
Okay. Then we have aortic endovascular stenting with angioplasty. So this one, we've sort of separated into two because right here you have stenting and angioplasty, but in Cerner, we have them as two separate things. So if you were to have this surgery, you would have to basically order two separate ones. Is that making sense?
Yeah, but it would, well, they have to do an angioplasty to do the stenting, so it's, well, they have to,
I think that's also true. So you wouldn't necessarily need to book both. You could just book the insertion aortic stent endovascular, and it's
see,
assumed
but
that
this,
that includes-
but it's not. Aortic endovascular stenting and angio, insertion aortic stent endovascular. They wouldn't actually do that. Sure, yeah, we'll just have to pick two cards then if
Okay.
that's, yeah.
All right. This next one is aortal bifemoral bypass, and we have that as bypass graft aortal bifemoral artery.
So you're going by description, what it is, location, correct?
I think so.
Okay. Yep.
That's okay. All right, and this next one, axillary bifemoral bypass graft. We have that as bypass graft axillary bifemoral artery. Is that okay?
Yep. This is gonna take forever.
Yep. This is why we needed the 2 hours.
OMG.
We have cardioversion. Here it says cardioversion, so I think that's okay. It's exactly the same. Right here we have carotid endarterectomy, and then we have that as endarterectomy carotid artery.
Can we put remove from main OR site for
Yeah.
the one above?
Yes.
Is
This
there a
one
note,
here?
a note column? No, for the cardioversion that we said we're just gonna hide.
Oh,
from
right
the-
here?
Yeah,
There's a comment column right beside the yes and no.
Okay. That's it. And what did you want to write?
oh,
Mike?
just hide from main OR, just for the design team.
Okay.
I mean, if Mary thinks it should be there, we don't do cardioversions in the.
No,
main-
we're fairly certain that you only do them in PACU as well. We
Yeah.
just need to make sure we follow through.
Okay. All right, so then we have diperthocath insertion. Here we have it as insertion Hickman's line.
Diporticath insertion. So this is different. So the DI has to be there because that card was created because they do porticast in DI, and they wanted a card when we trained the staff over there to do it. That is the DPC card that is picked for them over there.
Okay.
DI meaning, sorry.
Diagnostic imaging.
Oh, so like interventional radiology would
Yeah,
use
so
this
that
card.
card, so we move them out of the main OR.
Yeah.
We do some very rarely here, but that is for them. So that is a card that when the plan, not me, the powers that be way back when created this, and this was the transfer that was going to go on. The request was that card be created. So that card would be picked by MDRD behind me, which you don't see.
Mhm.
And that is the case card that is done. So that is not a Hickman line. That is,
Okay.
Do we
Maybe I'll
have,
just highlight.
yeah,
Mhm.
we can look into that. Can we put a comment, say follow up with interventional radiology? Because we'll validate their codes with them as well, so that you don't have to.
they don't actually, they get it from us. They come over and physically get the cart from us and it's picked by us and they know.
Okay.
The staff come over here and pick it up. Like today is, they're running a portacath this morning. So
Mhm.
they have already picked up the case cart from us.
Okay. I mean, in terms of scheduling the cases though, who is scheduling them in
They
this?
schedule them over there in DI.
Yeah. So technically in Cerner, when they schedule that case, that's when they choose the order. So MDRD won't be able to just pick a code for this case for them. They'll have to know which code they need to select. In
I
Cerner.
don't, so how do I put this? I don't know what paperwork they get on the swing side there, like today, to know that, hi, we're doing one. I know that everybody, like, I'm just gonna say up in this land up here, they know that it's doing it and somehow that cart gets picked and done. But I have nothing to do with that. I just
Yeah.
had to, we just had to create the DPC for them.
For sure. That's why we want to follow up with them to make sure that
Oh.
it's their responsibility from now on to know what code needs to be used to book it. We can make sure that happens.
Will it still be listed in the preference list though?
Again, it'll be flexed to the location for where it's used. So
Because I'm the
we're
one
gonna
that makes, so they're gonna have to create their own DPC?
again, they wouldn't. It's a good question, Stephanie. Have we ever encountered the requirement for a DPC for an IR
Can I
location?
see that DPC for a second, Gloria? So DPC, so this thing here,
Yeah.
so this is
Yep.
not it, but this, I'm just borrowing this from Gloria beside me. It would say DI
Yeah.
portacath, and then on the back is their instrumentation.
Yeah, their
But
true pick list. They need a
this
true
is
pick list for the
created
case.
from the OR because I guess
Yes.
in Ormus, that's how we had to do it. So I don't know if us not being able to do that here, what that changes up there and all the stakeholders up there. I have absolutely no idea about any of
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Sorry, so the question is they're creating a DPC for another location?
Correct. They're printing the DPC and then sending this case card to IR so they can do a line insertion.
I
They
think
actually come and
it's-
get it from MDRD, but okay.
Yeah.
I think that's possible. I'll take it back and
Okay.
follow up. Yeah.
We'll follow up. We'll make sure that there's no loose ends there.
Okay.
Thank you, Cheryl. That's really helpful workflow knowledge, by the way.
All right, so for the next one, we have endovascular aneurysm repair, and we have that as repair aneurysm abdominal aorta endovascular.
Yep.
Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay. And then we have femoral artery and embolectomy, thrombolectomy, fasciotomy, unilateral. And we have that as embolectomy femoral artery.
So are these other locations not going to be on there then? Like thrombolectomy, all of those words will not be there then?
Can we just double check to see if like the master list actually have different locations for them, please? Just gonna quickly double check, Cheryl.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if our fasciotomy code is specific to which location it's for. I think it might be more generic, and then you might be able to add a modifier that is like the location for which the fasciotomy is done.
Yeah, I have
when
like a
you're documenting.
fasciotomy upper bilateral, lower bilateral.
Yeah, so we have generic fasciotomy code, so you could technically book two if you needed to.
So, but these would be for the surgeons though, right? So you say a generic card, but I have surgeons like 2 out of my 5 general surgeons do vascular.
No, so they could have a specific card for themselves, but the code is generic to upper or lower extremity in the way that it's named.
I'm not following, but okay.
Let me see if I can show you what it looks.
Yeah, I just have to see it.
Is it fasciotomy that you have looked
Yeah.
at?
Yep.
So right here, do you see the Cheryl where it says
Yeah.
fasciotomy, upper extremity, lower extremity?
So I basically can't have it the way it used to be in Ormus. It now has to be 3 different things showing up, which means it would be 3 DPCs. Or lack of a better word, because I don't know what it's called in Cerner. Right? If we're doing, right?
Thrombectomy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I'm doing an
so.
embolectomy and then
So the reason you have embolectomy, thrombolectomy, and fasciotomy, Are those three all occurring in that one, or is it you may be doing one or two of all of those?
They may
three?
be doing one or two of them. So, because sometimes as per the surgeons, it's, you have to do the thrombolectomy to get to the embolectomy. You have to do this to get to that. So it was sort of a request that it be like that, but
I
if
see.
later on, will I be, well, you said a fasciotomy, so then it's gonna be, because
Yeah. So the way that
vascular, like, I mean, I'd be picking 3 different cards that would have time. So if I pick 3 different cards that have all times associated to it,
yeah, that's a
right?
good
So this
question.
one's gonna take 60, this one's gonna take 30, this one's gonna take 20. Well,
Yeah.
then technically he's booked one case for the, and I'm just hypothesizing, he's booked one case for the day on the slate, when in actuality, it's sort of all encompassing. You have to sometimes do the fasciotomy to get to the embolectomy down below.
Yeah, so if we're thinking about the mechanics of documentation when the case happens, in Cerner, when I book a code to a case, the actual operating room nurses in the moment that they're documenting can update what was done. So not like now, nobody can go back to Ormus and say, oh, we want to update this. Somebody would have to, a logger would have to go back and change the code that was.
So when the surgeon's picking this, he's gonna pick embolectomy and fasciotomy. I mean, he's gonna be the one picking these. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so when they pick them, if the fasciotomy isn't done, the nurse can remove the fasciotomy code from the final record, and then that will count to the time for the case will count against just the one code. If the time for the case is counting against 3 codes, they can't actually deduce the start and end of each procedure anyway, so they can't get a case average if you're booking multiple cards to a case anyway. I know what you're saying from that perspective.
Because they're gonna sit here and go, well, and really with vascular, it's sort of all encompassing. They do they could do all 3 of these and in a case, so. Okay.
One of the challenges we have is that if when you book a code here, it now stays on the record. So it's signed to the record as what was done. So if we have a possible with multiple things listed and then they weren't done, it's misleading for those who are looking at the record because that booking code appears from then on, which is why our naming conventions have had to change in order to meet that requirement.
So it's better, if I hear you correctly, it's better to be single. They pick it, and if they didn't do it, they take it out or they add it.
The
'Cause
nurses in the room.
They're really the ones that are adding it on.
Yeah,
But
and
is
the
that any,
nurses.
is that any reflection of time on a slate?
The only time it affects time on a slate for you guys is if, again, if they book 2 codes to a procedure and both of those codes stay on and they were both done, it's more difficult for data analytics to calculate a case average because no computer can calculate when one started and when one ended. So it's harder to get your case average for procedures with combined code, like multiple codes, but it doesn't change the average for any one of those codes. So it won't impact one code. It would just impact their capacity for calculating a new average.
Okay. Well,
Sorry, I know that's very technical. I
no, but the
apologize.
surgeons are gonna have to learn that. Like, so basically all I'm gonna say is in Cerner, each code has to be listed separately. Really, right?
For most procedures, yes, right? Unless
Okay.
unless the code, again, by virtue of naming one thing, I had to do procedure A to get to procedure B, we kind of we just go with procedure B because, like the other example you said, the angioplasty, you have to do an angioplasty in order to stent. We don't create both codes necessarily for that.
So then, well, no, you would, because you have the angioplasty here, right? And then there is one with stenting, right?
Yeah, so the reason we have both is like if you're just doing angioplasty, you can book an angioplasty, or if you book an angioplasty and stent, you can move back to an angioplasty, just so that they're both available to you.
Surgeons will be aware of this though, correct? They'll be aware of how these are named, not based on me, based on.
We send a list to the providers for what is available at their site prior to go live, because we have to, again, when we map these, we have to take all of their waitlist cases and rebook them to the new codes anyway, based on
And
this
if they
naming
have
convention.
questions and concerns, they'll be expressing them to you guys, correct?
I mean, through you to us, likely, because they know you as the face of the team. But you can explain that we're because of the change, we have to adapt to some of the naming conventions that are standardized.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
Again, I'll try to stop talking now, so I stop interrupting this process.
That's okay.
So are we okay with this name for now?
Mhm.
Okay, great. Great. So the next one, we have femoral endarterectomy, and we have that as endarterectomy femoral artery.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, and then we have femoral endarterectomy with angioplasty. So again, it's going to be divided into two. So endarterectomy femoral artery plus an angioplasty at the end.
And again, they'd be picking the two for that case, so yes.
Right. Great. Then we have femoral popliteal bypass graft unilateral. We have that as bypass graft femoral popliteal artery.
Okay.
Then we have femoral popliteal bypass graft with angioplasty unilateral. So again, two.
Why is
Just because we added angioplasty again. So it'll be the
why
same
does that come up as cardiology?
So this part, I think it doesn't necessarily matter because whatever is in there can be used anywhere in any procedure. So in another hospital, I think when they were doing theirs, it was within cardiology. So I think in Cerner, it's already as cardiology, but we can use the same one for.
Is it advantageous that now since you're creating, they don't have bilateral then, do they? And in Cerner, looks like no one else has added bilateral for some of these, right?
For these ones, we're sort of just following your list. So if we don't see bilateral on your list, then we're not putting it on this list. But I can probably double check to see if they have the bilateral really quickly.
I expect that we do, but the other
We
piece about that
probably
is if a generic code is added to your site and it was created under a specialty that doesn't apply to your site, when you create the card, you can update the specialty for your surgeon specific card to their specialty, but the system always documents their surgeon specialty separately under their physician specialty isn't impacted by the card specialty you see on the screen. It's just how Cerner categorizes the cards. So you can manage those.
Because I don't have bilateral because obviously they haven't requested it and it hasn't come up for me to create it. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like it was
Yeah.
asked about a year and a bit ago that if we had unilateral and bilateral surgeries that needed to be done. So that's when all of us CRNs went, oh, wow, okay. And then that's why we started unilateral, bilateral, because that was the ask to get more concise on our operative times. So I don't have bilateral in there, not to say we couldn't do it. So if I did need it in time, I could easily go in. I don't have to send it to all 5 people for approval. I can somehow ask somebody to see if it's already in Cerner and then we get it added to our site.
That's right. Yeah. If it's in
Yeah.
the system, we can add it now.
Yeah.
But if we don't find it, we would.
Yeah, I actually don't see bilateral, but
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So let's not then.
Right. Okay, and then we have a femoral profundoplasty unilateral. We have that as profundoplasty femoral artery.
Okay.
One sec, sorry. Okay, and then we have femoral tibial bypass unilateral. We have that as bypass graft femoral tibial artery. And this next one, again, it's double. So it's a unilateral femoral tibial bypass with angioplasty. So we have the femoral tibial artery plus the angioplasty. Is that okay?
But that would be the same as the up above.
Yeah. So just the angioplasty is added. Otherwise, it's the same. It's essentially the same thing plus angioplasty. Yeah.
Okay.
Right, then we have femoral bypass graft, which we have as bypass graft femoral to femoral artery. Then green field filter insertion, we have that as insertion vena cava filter. Is that correct?
Yeah, both of those are. Yeah, removal and insertion. Yeah.
And the removal you said was correct as well, right?
Yep.
Sorry, I'm not sure why it keeps doing it. And then we have iliac artery aneurysm repair. So we couldn't find that in the system, but maybe someone could just quickly double check. So we had to change it to repair iliac artery aneurysm as sort of our new one for you. That's okay for naming?
Yeah, it's just gonna be a lot for people to, because ours was alphabetical order. Rochelle, you would know that. So it's gonna be a huge
Yeah.
learning thing for people, but it's, you know, it's the way it has to be, right? Like,
Mhm.
it is what it is.
Do you guys have a G drive that you use, like
Uh,
a shared drive in the computer, like where you put resource files, education files, things like that?
Uh, I don't know if the staff, we have an N driver with the leadership team. I think everybody else can access the N drive. I'm not too sure on that, Michael.
Okay.
But again, I mean, this is no different from us going handwriting to Ormus. It just, Deb did that, and obviously you can see the naming the way it was alphabetical order, obviously, because you can see how it is, right?
Yes. Yes.
So
Yeah.
clearly things
Rochelle,
have changed,
Yeah.
so now we're doing it
with
this
the
way.
one that's repair iliac artery aneurysm,
Yeah.
in Cerner, it would read repair aneurysm iliac artery.
Repair aneurysm
Aneurysm,
iliac
iliac
artery. Oh, we
artery.
have it.
We don't, but everything else reads repair aneurysm popliteal artery,
Yeah.
Oh,
femoral artery, but
It's
like
the
it-
procedure and then the location.
yeah.
oh, oops. So in terms
It's
of just
okay.
naming convention. All right.
So
I'll
it's procedure, then the location, and then what it is, right? That's how
And I
you guys,
can, yeah, and Cheryl, I can send you a PowerPoint page that we have what it, like how
could it be for
examples.
dummies like me?
No. I know that you appreciate like having a visual for future. And so I can send that to you.
Can it
after
just
the
be
meeting.
real simple like that?
It is, it's beautiful. It's color coded and everything.
Because that's how I'm gonna teach everybody.
Mhm. Yep, I'll send it your way.
Because I think this
And-
is a lot of work for CRNs. Oh my gosh.
I know, and it always is up front, and we realize that it's a change in methodology, which is why we want to sit with you. And there are 3 clinical people on the line, and not just technical folks.
Sometimes technical is good.
We need both. We absolutely need both, and they're indispensable. But I'm saying, you know, if you
Yeah.
just had a technical person on the line, it wouldn't be as supportive, I hope.
That's great.
All right, so for our next one, we have the iliac artery bypass unilateral. We have that as bypass graft aortoiliac artery.
I mean, that's what it is, but
Okay.
surgeons liked it like that. So I guess I mean, it already exists in the system, right?
Yeah, if that one already exists in the system.
And that's
Um,
because of location. Oh, I mean, well, it has to be that way then, yeah, because I mean, it says it, but it's just the aorta iliac. So that's what they're looking at. So yeah.
okay, the next one, again, it's divided into 2. So it's the iliac artery bypass with angioplasty. So similar to the first one, but we just added angioplasty again.
Like I'm saying yes to this. I mean, I know the
Mhm.
surgeons might like, well, can it just say iliac? Well,
Yeah.
no, because if this already exists in the system when we've just done 5 hospitals, it should really be this way, correct?
Mhm,
Yeah.
correct. And the next one, we have iliac artery embolization with possible angioplasty unilateral. I couldn't find that on the master list, so I have this one as the name, if someone could
Iliac
just
artery
double check the naming
Oh,
convention.
Embolization, iliac artery with angioplasty. Yes, but would that angioplasty now be separate like before?
Oh, you're correct. I think so.
Because I can't have it tagged to there, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I believe so. Great catch. I did that the wrong way.
Look, we're at 31, guys.
Yay. I have it here. Okay. And then we'll just do angioplasty. See.
Will we get a copy? Will I get a copy of my CST descriptions then, so I could start reading that as leisure reading?
Yes, yes, we can send this to you for leisure reading.
So I
So
look
it-
smart in a year?
In Cerner, there's embolectomy.
Embolectomy.
embolectomy, iliac artery. Is embolization
Oh.
versus embolectomy different?
Not the same.
Okay, just making sure.
Right, Cheryl?
Yeah, but you know, like, then I wonder if I have to create a card for that. Like, I just,
I think we are requesting one for line 31.
Yeah, so anything here that we don't find, we're gonna be requesting to create one.
okay, yeah.
Great, so next one is iliofemoral endarterectomy, and we have that as endarterectomy iliofemoral artery.
Yes, ma'am.
Next one, iliofemoral endarterectomy with angioplasty. So again, it's the
Angio's gonna
same
come down.
thing. Let me just insert row. And then okay.
And this one had a code, yeah.
That. Oh, actually. Yeah, so that does have a code.
Mhm.
Mhm. If it's just the generic angio code, we don't need to, I don't know if we need to add it back in. But
I've just done
yeah,
it.
it's good for covering our bases, but I think, yeah.
All right, so for the next one, we have leg and foot amputation. So in Cerner, I think there was, it's separated to different areas here, Cheryl.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this was like this prior, like when I was a DC1 here back in early 2000s.
Mhm.
So we'll just go with whatever we have here. Whatever you
Alright.
guys have is like, I mean, I'm good.
All right, sounds good. Right, so
And
now
again, the
we
surgeons are
have,
gonna have to look and,
Mhm.
figure it out too, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this next one here, we have pacemaker generator change. We have that as revision pacemaker generator and lead. Lead.
okay, so there's not just, oh, okay.
There's not just the generator, it seems.
It's for, yeah, it's, okay, so now it's gonna say revision. It's not gonna say
Mhm.
change.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. I'm just laughing because I can already see what's gonna go on in here.
You know your surgeons.
Oh, I'm thinking nursing too.
Oh, yeah.
And the next one, we have pacemaker loop recorder insertion. We have that as implant injectable loop recorder.
So now it has to be separate from pacemaker, is that correct? I don't see pacemaker insertion. So the pacemaker / loop recorder are two different things. So we have, oh,
sorry. I was
She's
just
gonna
looking
search
for something
she's
else.
gonna search the
Oh,
catalog to
okay.
make sure.
Yeah, I was gonna
go,
search the catalog for
Yep,
pacemaker.
go for it, Rochelle.
because the reason we have the loop recorder there is that's a little gadget that's about this big. That gives us some reading that's done in ambulatory daycare. It could be done here, but it usually is not. And then that's where they decide what type of pacemaker, yada, yada, yada. So the reason it was combined was because the amount of time we do the loop recorder in a year here would be maybe one, if at all, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
But and they wanted it on there, so that's why it looked like that, because predominantly it's the pacemaker insertion. So we need insertion pacemaker
We
generator
have
lead. There we
here
go.
insertion pacemaker generator lead, so maybe we'll just do both.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's right.
Yep.
Um,
It was just an easy way to not create another card in Ormus.
Yeah, again, this
For the
whole
amount of
thing,
time that we did it, this made sense.
mhm.
Yeah.
All right, so I think that was for that. Okay, and then next one we have portacath insertion.
Mm-hmm. Insertion
I'm
vascular.
not sure why we have two. We have insertion, vascular access
So
catheter,
what?
and
Oh, hang on a sec. But
device.
give me a second. Where?
Rochelle, I think we'd probably want
Sorry.
Oops.
VAD versus catheter, I think are different, maybe because VAD is the one that lives subcutaneously under the skin. perhaps. Is that right, Sarah? I don't can't
Mhm.
remember.
I'm just gonna grab, hang on, Houston and Sampath, where's the Houston?
Yeah, I believe the VAD's the portacast type thing.
Yeah, so I think like the
Yeah, so we
catheter
had
one is
portacath insertion, and then we had pacemaker / loop recorder insertion. Where's my Hickman? I think my Hickman just came somewhere else.
that was the DI one. Is that the one for IR that we did earlier or no?
No,
Separately.
so I
Okay.
think on my portacat, I think on my pacemaker, DPCs, no. On my pacemaker insertion, I think I may have a notation for Hickman line because it's very rare that we would do one here, not to say that we don't. But if there's a card that is needed to be created for a Hickman line, that wouldn't just be a portacath, that's separate than a portacath, right?
Yeah, I think that's the catheter insertion vascular access catheter, but I don't know if that's accurate either because it maybe just describe any central line.
Well, no,
of
but
it.
this is, do you have anything that says portacath or Hickman in
Let me
your
see.
thingy?
I doubt it.
Oh, that's not-
Actually, going back, can you just leave PORT? I think with these.
PORT.
Yeah, there was some stuff there that showed up.
Removal of implanted venous access port, insertion venous access port.
Yeah, are these are in
Well, then
Cerner.
it's the insertion of portacath abdominal
Yeah,
laparoscopic.
there is
So-
technically. Yeah, if you want 784, we can add it to your site. Even if it's a general code, it can be
No, but
recoded.
that's not laparoscopic though.
No, yes.
Like, we're not doing that laparoscopic. We are putting
Okay.
a venous access port is what it is,
Mhm.
right?
So then it would be 1166 or 3402 is what you're saying.
Me,
Would you want either of those available?
Like these two.
so you don't want it as portacath or Hickman line. You want it to have the nomenclature that I see in front of me, correct? Yes,
If it's
Yeah.
clinically accurate, we would try and stay away from brand names, I think. Is portacath a brand name? I'm pretty sure it is.
removal of implantable venous access port. Well, that is a port because it's a portacath, right? And it's venous, yeah. Is there one that says arterial? Just curious.
No.
No, none. Okay.
Okay.
not
Do you
that
mean
thing.
So then, so now
arterial?
I'm just
Like an
no,
art
so-
line?
Like an insertion arterial access port? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I just want to see if is that even in there, because if that's not, then portacath insertion would read, what did you say? Insertion venous access port. Removal implantable venous access port.
Mhm.
But then how come insertion wouldn't say insertion implantable venous access port?
I'm not sure.
Because human error, probably.
I'm just curious, I don't know.
Yeah.
No, it's a relevant question. I'm just thinking about portacath question. I think it's a brand name. Sorry.
Yeah, portacath, yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
it's a
Yeah.
BARD thing.
That's what I thought. I thought it was,
Yeah.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
think that's why we've always tried to go away from brand names as it is.
So just
defining
curious, so
procedures.
could it say insertion implantable venous access port, removable implantable venous access port?
We can make that a synonym for the primary and then
Mhm.
and then ask to rename the primary from the group, but we do need approval from the group to rename an existing code, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so just on that note, so if somebody in one of the 5 that I see on those emails says, say 3 out of the 5 say no, then it's a no, correct?
It's
I
the
think
bigger group.
so. I think
Okay.
so, but we try and explain the logic between, behind why we're sending an ask forward. So we don't usually run into that too much, but
So to clarify, we're changing this to insertion venous access port.
yeah. And then we're asking to add a synonym for insertion implantable venous access port under the
Okay.
synonym column on the right, if that's okay, as a new request.
Insertion venous access port, and then on the comments to the right?
Just under procedure synonyms, just
Okay.
there. Yeah, insertion implantable, just so it matches the other removal code.
Mine's gonna have a card.
That's okay with that. And then I'll just remove this next one then. I think it was the same thing. All right. Okay. So our next one, we have toe amputation, and we have amputation toe for Cerner. That's all right. Okay, and then we have upper limb arterial procedures. We have something called repair vessel upper extremity. Oh, I think you're on mute, Cheryl.
No, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
That has been created at a time for me here. I don't know why it was created like that, so I'm happy for it to go to that. And I guess
Okay.
as time goes on, if something needs to change or we need something, I can't really. We've just had that forever, and I don't know why. It's just always been like that.
Okay. Okay.
So can
Great.
I explain?
Oh, you're on mute again, Cheryl. Sorry.
Mute.
All
I'm
right.
not touching anything. Why did it do that?
I'm not sure.
Okay, I'll just keep an eye on that thing there then. Still green, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you're good.
Those four right there, we had to create the high ligation because that's something as per surgeon request, because it's very different from when he's doing his vein stripping. So that is why I have those there, and I'm really hoping they exist in your place, because that is something that they wanted and needed for what they do.
So they do not. So anything here that's highlighted in red and highlighted in yellow do not exist. So we are gonna create one for those, and we named it like this.
High ligation varicose vein bilateral. Yep, perfect.
Yeah. But for the vein ligation and stripping bilateral and vein ligation stripping unilateral, were these were the ones that we found on Cerner.
Okay.
Ligation and stripping, saphenous vein bilateral, and then one
So
without the
would
bilateral.
you not take the unilateral out, considering you don't show unilateral anywhere else?
Yes, that is a good point. I will remove that. Otherwise, naming is okay.
I think,
They were
yeah,
correct.
yeah.
All right. Okay. Okay, so for the next one, we have abdominal perineal resection, bottom. So we have here as resection bowel, abdominal perineal.
Perineal portion, abdominal portion, those are both fine.
Okay, perfect. Okay, then we have abdominal perineal resection, top laparoscopic. So I think it's yeah. So we just have laparoscopic here, resection, abdominal perineal.
I don't know why I keep going on mute here. I have absolutely no idea why that's happening. It's very annoying.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay. This is okay here, Cheryl?
Abdominal perineal laparoscopic. Yep.
Okay. All right, and then we have abscess, incision, and drainage. We have that as incision and drainage abscess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, anal fissurectomy. We have that as fissurectomy anus.
I think the flap repair is on there because sometimes with the plastic surgeons, if that comes in, so.
The next one you mean, right? This one here?
Oh,
This
yeah,
flap
sorry.
repair?
Yeah. Well, the fissure is fine. Yep.
Yeah, and so for the fistulectomy with or without flap repair, we just have that as fistulectomy anus.
And that's what everybody else is going
Yeah,
on.
I think that's what we have on Cerner, just wanting to make sure that that reflects what you
Okay.
guys mean by this.
Well, ours, that means we will or will not do a flap repair, right? So on the DPC, it would show that, but
Oh, I see.
if that's not an option here, then if he does a flap repair, how is he gonna denote that if, you know, with the codes, right?
Right. I wonder, can someone just check if there's like a separate?
Yeah, I'm
flap
looking.
repair? Thank you.
There's
And
like,
again, other surgeons might already include it in part of the hysterectomy that there
Mhm.
would be a flap or no flap. I don't know. I can't speak to all the surgeons that I would not know.
Okay.
So I
Um,
mean, if that's what it is, then on the DPC, I guess I would have to reflect what
there
to do,
is
if it's a
a
flap or not a flap.
repair perineum defect with flap. So there's like
Your perineum.
repair perineum or perineal defect with flap. So there is stuff that says with flap.
Mhm.
So I don't know if that's something that we could
Oh, that's
put
not.
on a note for
So your
Caitlin.
peritoneal, no.
Repair fistula rectourethral with gastromuscle flap.
Yeah.
That seems more in-depth specific.
I mean, I think let's just stay with what I guess what you guys want it to be here on the right. And
Mhm.
then I guess if they're questioning it right,
Mhm.
then I guess I email the Cerner team and tag the surgeons in it and saying these are codes that exist. Do you want us to add? Do you know what I mean? I guess it's going to be a sort of compromise on their side, right? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you can always add it in later.
Is that I think I agree with Sarah. The other one's a little bit more extensive, but again, I
Yeah.
can't speak clinically to what they want it. You know what I mean? Like,
And I'm
I
just
would need,
wondering, Rochelle, if you
Mhm.
put the code in the comment section for like an example of repair perineal defect with flap, it'd be
Comment
Jen.
section.
Yeah,
Mhm.
just so that Caitlin has a
Repair perineal.
defect with flap, and the code I can give you as well.
Yeah.
GEN 00218.
Mhm.
Just so she has that.
because this is
at-
saying anus, this is saying perineal. So it could be, this one's more broad than this is actually anus, right? So I don't know.
I know. I'm just giving her an example to look at that if she needs to
Yeah.
create a new one,
Okay.
because there's nothing here that has any specific location.
Right. So for this next one, we have anal perineal condyloma excision, which I don't believe we saw on Cerner, so we created another name for
Yeah,
it.
this is something that the general surgeons quite often do.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is the name that we have. But if someone could just double check that really quickly, just in
Yeah.
case.
I have fulguration condyloma perineum. That I don't know if that-
Fulguration.
it's FULGUR, and then just hit enter. There, right there.
This one with laser.
No,
That's
that's
No,
cystoscopy.
that's not
That's
it.
that's a different body part.
yeah. Type in condyloma and then just hit enter. Ooh, you're typing in a bunch of stuff in
Uh-oh.
insertion of.
A venous access.
Okay.
Find that.
Fulguration condyloma
That's the
perineum.
only, yeah. And if you go over to the synonym,
Mm-hmm.
it's anal wart excision.
Mm-hmm.
Is any of this, Cheryl, what?
Yep, could be. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe we'll change it to that then. It's this one,
Okay.
right?
Okay, so let me just change that. I have it on this. So now that's gonna say, what is it gonna say?
Fulguration condyloma perineum.
And
Mm,
Cheryl will send this to you. So there's no extra work
Yeah.
I think you have to do right now. We'll send
Yep.
it to you to validate again, and yeah.
Well, I'm not gonna go to the surgeons and say, what do they think? I'm not, because I'm gonna
No.
get 185 versions. I'm not into that yet.
No.
No.
Right. Okay, so the next one we have appendectomy. We
Phew,
have this
so easy.
appendectomy.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to more of those. Can we have
Yeah.
Part of it's how the people named this 25 years ago.
we know, and it's part of it's how our people named it. We understand.
Okay. The next one is appendectomy laparoscopic. We do have appendectomy laparoscopic.
Mhm.
Then we have axilla excision of apocrine glands and hydradenitis.
Uh-huh.
We have that as excision axillary sweat glands.
I guess if that's what it is, yes.
Okay. And then we have biliopancreatic diversion with the duodenal switch,
So I
say
can tell-
possible cholecystectomy.
Yeah, this needs to
So-
be created.
Biliopancreatic diversion
Mhm.
is one gastric sort of bypass surgery. Then there's a SATI,
Hmm.
and either one of those can be done with a lap chole. So
Yeah, so I think we need
so you're gonna
individual
want biliopancreatic diversion.
and a SATI separate.
Okay, so you're gonna want, I'm just gonna methodically think of this for a second. You're gonna want biliopancreatic diversion. One's gonna be with chole, one's gonna be without chole. Then
Yeah.
you're gonna want a SATI.
So with like, do they know before they're doing it if they're gonna do the chole?
Yep, they'll be able to tell us.
Okay, so then yeah, it's a with or without.
So I'm thinking, because this was created like that, because they could do the biliopancreatic diversion with duodenal switch, which is different. Then
Yeah.
there's the SATI, which is the single anastomosis,
Yeah,
and possible lap chole can be done with both. So it can't say possible chole, can it? No.
it would be with cholecystectomy or without cholecystectomy.
Okay, so then it has to be biliopancreatic diversion with chole,
Do we
without
have
chole.
that?
I
Then
don't
it has
believe
to be
so.
SATI.
This is the only site.
Oh, yeah, right.
So
Yeah, there's
then
nothing.
with our SATIs, they've now instituted where they on the booking on the slates, it says with sleeve, which means they're going to do a sleeve gastrectomy. That's when we get to the SATI here.
Okay,
Then the SATI is gonna have to be SATI.
can you do me a favor, Cheryl? Rochelle, can you highlight these in like green or blue or something? Because these are
these
ones
ones?
that are Richmond specific, and
Okay.
we'll need, Cheryl, if you can like give us all the possibilities, because I think there's more than, but all the possibilities of the surgeries, and then we
I
can
just
give
want to
that-
get clear. So for the SATIs,
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
I do for the biliopancreatic diversion. I'd rather talk to Dr. Sampath, like for the SATIs, the biliopancreatic possible lap chole and no lap chole, that, yeah, that's fine. It's with the SATI.
Yeah,
Like
Because
you have it
sometimes
red
it's
here, the
a-
SATI here, you have with sleeve. That's when he's gonna do a sleeve gastrectomy with it,
mhm.
but then he's also can do a SATI with no sleeve gastrectomy.
I
Okay,
We
see.
would-
So it'll
And
just
then if
be-
he's wanting to add a lap chole for those ones, I need to just find out if he was gonna do a lap chole with the SATI, then it would have to reflect that as well too, right?
yeah,
I
Yeah.
think I would keep the one you had up there before, Rochelle, and add a second one without, or not without, just that didn't have the with gastric,
Yeah.
with sleeve.
Okay, so I'll have
I just wanna find out
gastrectomy
if he's
with-
gonna take if they're gonna take taking the gallbladder out with the SADI, because then that means I'd have to have 2 more codes added, correct?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
And yes, it does look like a lot more, but in the end, it'll,
Oh, yeah, no. Yeah, okay.
So just to double check, so the different ones that we're gonna do, single anastomosis, duodenal,
with gastrectomy.
duodenal bypass with gastrectomy sleeve. We'll have one that just says gastrectomy.
No, it would
No.
be the SADI.
It's the SADI, but there's no,
So this is-
it's just a SADI, single anastomosis, duodenal ileal bypass.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, just
And then if
without
he
the
wants,
bypass.
and then if he
Without the
wants,
sleeve.
and then if he wants the lap Foley,
Yes,
then it would have to say single anastomosis, duodenal bypass with sleeve and lap chole, right?
yeah.
And then just single anastomosis, duodenal ileal bypass with lap Foley, if they're not doing
Yeah.
the sleeve, right?
Yeah, and we can
Sleeve
just give
and
this,
lap chole.
Yeah.
Chole.
I just want to make sure that that's,
yeah, our,
I'm sure with the sleeve and the no sleeve, it's just, I don't know if they would ever do a lap chole take long. I just want to make sure that I'm correct in thinking that would they ever do a gallbladder removal as well at that time? They might. I just want to make sure for the SADIs that's correct, right?
yeah, and if
Considering we
you-
have it for the biliopancreatic diversions, I'm almost 100% sure we do it here. I just want to make sure. Is that okay?
Mhm. And we'll just keep it a different color, so that we can circle back to you on you getting that information from the surgeon.
Can somebody
About-
remind me of that too, if I forget?
We will send you an email after this.
Oh, you are fantastic.
Wait, sorry. So SADI by itself, SADI with sleeve, SADI
Yeah.
with sleeve and lap chole.
Yeah, and then a
And then-
biliopancreatic diversion.
Oh, biliopancreatic diversion, just on
Yeah.
its own.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then there would need to be,
With or without chole as well.
With or without chole. Okay.
there would need to be 4 different SADIs though, Sarah.
Which ones?
Well, single anastomosis, ileal bypass with gastric sleeve, then it's just without the sleeve, obviously. It's just
Yeah.
the the duodenal switch or whatever. But if he's gonna add the lap chole, right? For the
Without the
SADI?
gastric sleeve?
No. Gastric
Okay.
sleeves, and that, with the SADI, I need to
Mhm.
verify with him if he would take the gallbladder out at that time too. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yep.
That's what I gotta find out, because then that would, yeah.
So you
So-
said there's a fourth SADI here?
Maybe, Rochelle, what we'll do is we'll take these ones, because I think what I'm hearing is biliopancreatic diversion is its own.
Mhm. Because that's a
SADI
dual switch. That's a dual switch of
Yeah.
the small bowel. The
Yeah.
SADI is one anastomosis, hence the single.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so,
But now they're doing like a first and second stage, which is with doing a
Yeah.
sleeve, not doing a sleeve. I just need to know from Dr. Sampath, would they be wanting the gallbladder taken out at that time? I haven't seen that on there, but the way we have it listed here now, right? They can choose,
Mhm.
right? So I just need to make sure if he wants that reflected on that one.
okay,
Sorry.
So do these 5 entries, are they okay?
we're gonna need more.
And what else should I add?
It would be biliopancreatic diversion with duodenal switch,
Switch.
possible lap chole. Then it would
Mhm.
be biliopancreatic diversion, laparoscopic, because you're not doing the lap chole.
Duodenal switch.
With lap chole.
There would be one with the lap chole. There would be one without, obviously, no lap chole, because
Yeah.
that's the other option. And this is the SADI, so I'm just doing myself. So now SADI, so now we move to the SADI. So the SADI is now, because it's totally changed, is SADI, and I'm not gonna say the whole 5 words,
Yeah.
but SADI with gastric sleeve,
Yep, you have that here.
and SADI
Just
just by
itself, yeah.
itself. But
Yeah,
now I need to find out from him will we have Sadie
with lap chole.
with gastric sleeve with lap chole?
Okay,
That's what I need to find out is will he have that, that is something that he wants to be reflected with the Sadie? Because Dr.
Right.
Sampath is doing way more Sadies.
Yeah.
Is the lap chole as a second code booked periodically as something that's reasonable, or is that not? Is
like,
it
separate it as its own lap chole.
yeah? That way you don't
I
need
would-
as many permutations of the same
Yeah,
procedure.
I would, but it's all encompassing in that. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it'd be picking it like it is.
Like they know
part-
in advance that they're going to do it, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
Okay.
they do.
Yeah. I
They
mean,
do.
yeah. It,
We
So I
can-
think for this, it would be, I just need to find out from him and I can walk over today after the meeting and
Yeah.
ask him.
And maybe, Michael, we kind of talk to Caitlin when she's back and just say, you know, this is question, did you want it as a second procedure or within it?
I mean, yeah, because you're one of the only sites that does this, we know the lap chole procedure already exists, and anything we create here is probably specifically for Richmond in this case. So I don't have a lot of objection to having a lot of these. It's just more maintenance for you, Cheryl, and
What do you mean?
like you just have more cards to manage over time, but you can edit them all.
I can edit them all
Concurrent.
like, so like, yeah, so
Yeah,
now it's just,
concurrently, you can just copy from one to the other for when you make changes. It's not a problem, but
and it's also like the surgeon, if he knows he's gonna do a sleeve, right? He's gonna have to
Yeah.
pick the sleeve card. So if he picks just the Sadie, and he's like, but I wanted to do a gastric sleeve, it's like, well, it's right there. You could have picked it. No, but do you know what I mean?
Yes,
Like-
I
like-
think clinically the Sadie with the sleeve and without the sleeve, or with the switch and the switch with Coley and without Coley, I understand that those are important. I'm just wondering, and then the thing that's all of them is fine. It's just if you add them as unique single codes, then it's less management for you of cards over time.
Mhm.
But it's your call.
But
But if they're always combined and there's a high frequency of doing everything together, then
this is
that's
high
a reason.
frequency and I
High
am just
frequency.
thinking this would be better.
Yeah,
Since I
and
have,
that-
since I have an option.
Yeah, no, just double
Yeah,
checking with you
yeah.
to see that that's your preference.
And I'm retired in 5 years, so you know, somebody else might change it. Just kidding.
Well, and I don't think there's a lot of resistance. I think we'll be okay, Sarah, but
Yeah.
we can double check with Caitlin.
okay.
Perfect.
So for the next one, we have bowel anterior resection, end-to-end anastomosis. We have that as anterior resection, sigmoid with EEA, anterior resection with ileostomy.
Ileostomy meaning we're not putting a pouch on, right? No, we're just anterior section, sigmoid with EEA, anterior section.
I'm gonna double check this actually. It's kind of weird that it has two.
This one,
Ileostomy should be with the pouch, and then if it's EEA, it's end-to-end anastomosis, so it'd be
So that-
it'd be
so that-
it'd be no pouch.
yeah, so the ileostomy, you guys, that would be, that's.
Sure. Is a resection bowel is a generic prefix, something that would be easier to search, maybe.
Sorry, resection bowel.
I wonder if that's like how we're categorizing this. Maybe hit find all for me, and then we'll see what we see there. We can drag that window and make it big. Well, the find and replace window will have a bunch of entries in it.
Oh, I see. This one here.
Yeah. So we don't specify whether the outcome is anastomotic or with ileostomy.
In Cerner, you mean?
Yeah, specifically, it looks like right here.
It's right here.
Oh,
I just wanted to see like what number it was because it seems like
So
there's
ours
a
is
lot going on here.
anastomosis. So this, ours here has no reflection on an ileostomy.
okay.
That one just, my code there is just, it's here an end-to-end anastomosis.
Okay, yeah. So we just only need the one there then, is what you're saying.
Mhm.
These are synonyms. That's
Oh,
what
I
we're
think
seeing. We're
it's
seeing
it was
synonyms.
synonyms that I was seeing. I
Yeah,
think that's
yeah.
why. Yeah, I was just wondering what's happening.
So the code that we would get is resection low anterior colon.
One.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it was the wrong one that was copied. I think it's this that was meant to be there.
Bowel
And
resection, end-to-end anastomosis.
And then this one is meant to be synonyms. Yeah, I think that's why I was kind of confused.
Yeah, the Cerner code that you'll receive is the resection low anterior colon. And then the
Mhm.
synonyms are searchable. If anybody searches by those other
Yeah.
synonyms, they can find it, Cheryl.
Okay,
Right, so we're okay with this name.
sure.
Okay. Okay, we
As
have
yeah.
breast axillary lymph node dissection unilateral. We have
Mhm.
it as dissection lymph node axillary.
Mhm.
We have breast biopsy partial with fine wire and sentinel lymph node. We have mastectomy partial with wire localization and sentinel lymph node.
Yep.
Then we have breast biopsy partial with fine wire localization unilateral. We
Mhm.
have that as mastectomy partial with fine wire localization.
So as I was telling Rochelle, I know in Cerner, Molly exists already, however you guys have called that in Cerner. Does that sound familiar to you guys?
I wonder if that's the name that I can find. One sec.
So there is something I've seen that, and it's an I.
Oops.
Okay, it's something else. I don't know what it's called there.
Is
but
it, what's
there-
the abbreviation for, Cheryl? Sorry, I'm not familiar with the
It's
term.
it's like a little, seed, put seed.
Seed?
Seed.
Oh,
Seed, like, let me see. Biopsy breast, no prior needle
Okay, so
biopsy with
see
seed.
this seed localization?
Yes.
This is
Yeah.
Molly. This is what
Ah, okay.
the actual thing is called, Molly.
mhm.
But we are getting that here, but we don't have that here right now. We've trialed it and we're waiting for the money to come. But I can't have any cards with this right now because the instrument isn't in our wheelhouse. It's just a loaner right now.
Yeah.
So I know I'm going to need this as soon as we get the
The
approval to
equipment.
purchase.
Yeah. Will that be before or after go live, do you think, in next summer?
That's a very good question, Michael. I don't know. It is on it's on the capital list. So I really don't know, but I can tell you when Mary showed me this, I thought, wow, but I can't create that now because it doesn't mean
You-
anything for us.
You can create the procedure so that the procedure exists at your site and not create any surgeon specific cards until you have that available.
Can we
So
do
what that
that
mean?
then? Because I know I know it's coming. I know we're
Yeah,
purchasing
if you
it.
know you need the procedures, I think we
Yep.
would make them available and then just not create a surgeon specific card. And then you wouldn't send a list to the surgeon to say you can book this because they know they can't. So does that make sense to the rest of the team?
Who would
Rochelle,
send
Sarah?
that to the surgeon to book? Who sends
Well,
that list?
our booking office usually sends a new list to all of our surgeons with a mapping to their old codes. So
Okay.
when they see the new mapping, they would only send ones that have the surgeon's name attached. And if you didn't create a surgeon specific code for this or a card, then you wouldn't send it to them. Kind of what, you manage what you send them from a what they have perspective, not what codes exist or are
But
available to your
not me.
site.
I don't send it to them. It comes from like the booking office,
Booking
right?
office would just search for anything that's under their name usually. So if you didn't create them a card under their name, then the booking office wouldn't see it to send it to them.
And they wouldn't pick from a generic list either. No.
No, I mean, most surgeons book from their own personal list is our experience, right?
Okay,
So-
but if I have locum surgeons, do I have a locum? Because I have quite a few locum surgeons in general
Mhm.
surgery.
Mm-hmm. So what you can do is if a locum surgeon comes and you want every locum surgeon to get, say, surgeon B's cards as theirs to start, then you can,
We usually, wow. We have like a generic in Ormus, there's a generic code.
We have generic cards.
They all get a generic card, and then
Yeah.
on that card, if I can grab Gloria's again. On the generic card, say this would be the generic card.
Mhm.
Wherever this thing is on the section here, I have like Dr. Rochelle, Dr. Michael,
Mhm.
Dr. Sarah, and I'm literally, it's very concise. It's like 10mm port, blade, 5
Mhm.
trocars, that's it. And it's all on that one card. Because we were told that
No,
because they're
Cerner.
locum surgeons, they're not, they have privileges to be locums, but they're not one of our primary. Is that the same in Cerner?
Oh.
They have privileges here. They can work here because however that works in Cyberland. But for the cards, I don't create a binder, which is like this thick
Yeah,
for
yeah,
a
no, there's
surgeon.
yeah. So as I understand it, locums have to have an account in Cerner to be able to document and write orders and do all those things.
Yeah, they have that. Yeah, but they're
And
generic.
then
They go from the generic cards from here.
yeah, so sorry, Cernerland as in I need to write orders from my patient. They need to have a personalized account that's attached to their name, which means everything will be booked under their name from a scheduling perspective. But if there is no surgeon specific card, it does default to a generic for the procedure that's
Perfect.
chosen.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's the rule of thumb.
So it's still, I think that's the same as Ormus then, I think.
Pretty much. I mean, I think so.
Mhm.
It's the only thing here is that with these cards that you don't want available to the populace, maybe we'll just earmark them and then remind you or get you to remind us when you start doing these procedures that you need them made available. There's nothing
Yeah,
else
'cause
to do to create them. So
we're just waiting to purchase the equipment. Right now, we just have loaner stuff, so I can't even have it on the card because no one would pick it because it's.
yeah, we'll set it as a reminder to check in with you before go live to make sure you don't need them. Is that okay? For the
Yeah,
rest of
because
the
then
team?
I'll go talk to Mary and see what she says. Okay.
Sure.
So just to double check, what do I do with this? Should I add it on the list?
Yeah, let's add anything with seed localization as a potential code and then write a note that says, you know, we'll code these with a color that says, we'll look at these again before go live to see if we need them before go live or not.
Okay. So the localization, so all of these then.
Anything with seed, anything with a seed,
No, I think it's off the MPL, like the master MPL. I think anything.
yeah, you had it there.
Yeah. So anything that was on that master list, I think it had
This one
mastectomy
here?
partial. Yeah.
Yes, under seed, anything under seed localization,
Like
there are
I'm gonna have
several.
quite a few more cards than because of the seed, because of what you already have sitting there. I'm gonna have to have all of that
Anything,
anyways.
yeah, 819 through 824. All of those
So-
would need to be available at some point, but just not necessarily before go live. We'll
So
confirm.
I should make rows for them here then?
Yeah, and then we'll mark them as something to review later.
Okay. Okay, maybe I'll just write it here.
Sorry.
No.
Sorry.
No,
No,
it's totally valid. I think
No, I
it's
feel
just,
sorry. I feel bad.
well, the fact that you notice in advance is good because it means you're not scrambling the moment that you then start the program.
Well, no, because yeah. Well, yeah, because we're only at the B's.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay.
3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh my. This is a lot of work for me. Oh, mercy.
You have quite a few specialties under your wing.
Yes.
You know what, it's that I have 5 general surgeons. It's that 3 of the 5 do bariatrics and 2 of the 5 do vascular,
Yeah, okay.
right? So they technically, it's still it's still my crew. It makes no sense for someone else to have it because it's my service. It's it's just they specialize, bless their hearts.
Yeah, they're not your standard surgeons in that regard.
Well, they just fellowshipped under different stuff, right? Which is great. It's just their books are like this big.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
give you one more, Rochelle.
Yep.
I'm gonna put it in the chat.
Oh, we have a chat. Oh,
Oh, yeah, there's a chat function.
am I supposed to be in the chat?
You have access to the chat.
Oh, do I? Oh,
Yeah.
It's just
So
at the
this
bottom
one-
of the screen. It's
oh.
Breast biopsy.
I know computer stuff if I've done it and repetition of skill, but I'm really computer stupid, really.
Okay.
I had to scan 200 photos for my mom's memorial and my kid had to help me. So there you go.
been there, done that.
I do not know how to add it to the screeny thing. I don't know. I'm glad you guys are doing all this. This is great.
Yeah, that's what we're here for.
00231.
And we will have people go live that for the staff, because I can see there being multiple questions.
It'll be elbow support, lots of elbow support.
Because I could
Um,
see, because we're obviously looking at this year out, and well, we've been looking at this for a while, some of us CRN, so we're sort of, we knew the nomenclature was going to change and stuff, right?
mhm.
I could just see a lot of freaking out, and then that tablet thingy, which
Yeah, the tablet is a different ball of wax, but it's working mostly, pretty much. Well, it is working. It's pretty much working entirely for scheduling and registration data. So that's good.
All right, so for our next one, we have breast hematoma evacuation post-op. We just have it as evacuation hematoma breast.
and would it be a gen code instead of whatever a PLA
I
code is?
think we have it as a plastic code.
So the thing with in Ormus is that for logging, you talk to Mary about it, but there has to be, I can't pick a plastic code, it has to be a gen code. So I don't know if that's different in Cerner.
Mm.
You can always create a new code under the surgeon with their specialty attached. So if whatever surgeon you book under would.
So because I've already done that in Ormus, I know I have to redo that for this.
No, you can decide which surgeons you want this card mapped to for Cerner, and they can copy the base card to all of those surgeons and create it under that surgeon specialty when they do.
So it would be Houston, Copac, NAM,
Yeah.
in York.
When do we, so the card creation mapping document, Stephanie and Ashley, is that that's after this, right?
Sorry, for what, Michael?
Deciding which surgeons to create these generics under when they copy out
Yeah,
of.
it happens after.
Yeah, so that's
I'm-
it's a separate step. We don't want to bombard you with just all the naming now, but we do it later.
Okay.
To say which surgeons need all of these cards, and you say pull from this Ormus card to these 4 surgeons, and you get to map.
I'm gonna
a
tell you the
specific-
cards to pull from to go to.
We will do the mapping here, like we're doing a confirmation of what the Ormus card is here. So we would use this as our baseline, right? But if you wanted to pull from a different card, you could change that at that time and decide which surgeons you want it to go to.
Okay, I think I got that.
All right, so for the next one, so we're okay with this one. Okay. Next one is breast lumpectomy unilateral. We have it as mastectomy partial.
Yeah, okay, I guess, yeah, okay.
Okay, and then we have breast lumpectomy bilateral. We have that as mastectomy partial bilateral.
Okay. So it's just different terminology they're all gonna have to get used to.
Yeah. Next one, we have breast mastectomy partial and axillary lymph node dissection unilateral. We have that as mastectomy partial and sentinel lymph node biopsy and axillary dissection.
Okay.
Okay, and then we have breast mastectomy, total bilateral and axillary dissection. We have that as mastectomy, total bilateral, axillary dissection.
Mhm.
Breast mastectomy, total bilateral. We have that mastectomy, total bilateral.
Okay.
Breast mastectomy, total bilateral and sentinel lymph node biopsy. We have as mastectomy, total bilateral and sentinel lymph node.
Mhm. If I X the chat box, does it go away or do I lose the whole screen?
I think
No,
it
just the
keeps
chat
going
goes
away,
away.
just the chat, yeah.
I just don't want to disconnect. Okay, I'm trying it.
Oh yeah, nice.
No, leave meeting. No, it's the wrong one. Nope. Cancel.
Oh.
What you're gonna do is
Um,
go up to the meeting chat, and there's a tiny little arrow in the left corner of the chat thingy, arrow down. Click on that and hit, it says pop out or close.
Thank God. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you.
Okay, and then we have breast mastectomy total unilateral. We have mastectomy total.
Yep.
And then breast mastectomy total, unilateral with sentinel lymph node biopsy. We have as mastectomy total and sentinel lymph node.
Okay.
So
these two cases here, I'm going to interrupt you for a second, Rochelle. So this was an ask because general surgery and plastics does this in combo, and they have, the reason I had to have those created for Gen was because, like Gen Surge, is because if the plastic surgeon is the lead surgeon, they pulled from the plastic plastic code.
Yeah.
But when it's the general surgeons who are the lead surgeon bringing in plastics, we had to have a Gen code. So that's why these were created like that.
Okay, so I think we had a code for like part of it, but not for the other. So the one that we had codes for was mastectomy total with reconstruction. Wait one sec. Right here. So the one that we had a code for, it was, oh, that's the wrong one. Is the one that says mastectomy total with reconstruction breast
So
plastic.
this would also be reflected for Legie. You guys did codes with Legie, right?
We
already?
did code with Legie already.
So did she bring up the same thing about general surgery and her and our surgeons together, or no?
Honestly, I can't remember at the top of my head now, just because it's been quite a ways back.
Okay, so I mean, as long as I can have codes for Gen Surge created, so if I have the lead surgeon, then those would seem good, yeah?
Okay.
Does
The
it
way that
say
we
what-
book, yeah, the way that we book procedures in Cerner is who is the primary, and that's data that's captured at the time of scheduling. Which
Yeah, but
surgeon
if-
is the lead?
But you would also have to have a Gen code created, like you would have to have a number for Dr. Nguyen to do this case, right? We're not gonna pull from a plastic surgeon when Dr. Nguyen is the lead. That's why I had to have these created.
I see.
You
So
know what I
like,
mean, Michael?
even if the generic procedure is under general specialty, you can create a plastics CST procedure service. You can make a plastics card from this procedure name. You can choose the specialty of that card for the surgeon if you need to.
So basically it would be,
You could have a general one for the general surgeon and a plastics one for the plastic
so
surgeon.
can you guys create that now for me or no?
When it's time to choose which surgeons you copy to and what specialty it lands under, you can decide. So you don't have to create it here
Okay,
under the name of the procedure.
okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. So does this one sort of reflect mastectomy total with reconstruction breast plastics? This one here, mastectomy and immediate breast reconstruction.
That's,
Okay. And then I just added bilateral here because they didn't have the bilateral.
okay.
I don't know, do we already create the plastics code under plastics? Since it doesn't, like, I don't think we need the word plastics in the name necessarily to answer, to solve these issues, perhaps.
With reconstruction.
We'll
Okay.
take
I think
that back.
this was just part of the name
Okay,
from the master. So for the
Oh, okay.
bilateral, I sort of just copied the exact same thing and put
Yeah.
bilateral.
that's fine. As long as we didn't create that name when we met with Legie, that's fine.
Okay.
Did you or no?
I
Okay.
can't remember. I don't think.
We'll validate and take that
We'll
back
validate
internally.
it.
That's not for you.
Okay,
You don't have to worry about that part.
and then we have breast mastectomy partial unilateral, and we have that as mastectomy partial. That's okay.
Mhm.
Great. Then we have breast mastectomy partial and sentinel lymph node biopsy unilateral. And we have that as mastectomy partial and sentinel lymph node. Just gonna move this closer, sorry. Okay. Great, next one is breast mastectomy total and axillary dissection unilateral. We have that as mastectomy total and axillary dissection.
Mhm.
Okay, and then we have breast mastectomy total and axillary lymph node dissection and sentinel lymph node biopsy unilateral. We have mastectomy total and sentinel lymph node and axillary dissection.
Mhm.
So chest tube insertion and removal. We have insertion chest tube. I can't remember if there's a removal. If someone could just really quickly check.
Which one for?
For a chest tube removal.
I only have insertion.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we can leave it as insertion.
Okay, sounds good.
How often do they remove them in the OR?
Very rare, but I think when we had this is like sort of a handwritten card for me. So I think recently I just created that just slash removal because we could. So it was all on one card. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It would be very rare. Like, I mean, if they did, it would be a one up, and I don't know how they would code it or what they would do, but
All right, so the next one we have chest back biopsy, excision of mass. We have excision lipoma.
so does it matter to you guys of the area, or when they're documenting, they would just in their notes say excision of lipoma and where, like when they're dictating, and you know what I mean, when they're closing their chart, right?
I think and Michael can speak to this, but I think when they do the appointment, book the procedure, they can state a location in that time
Yeah.
frame.
But it doesn't need to be when booking it, because incision lipoma is excision lipoma, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
it can be generic when booked, as long as that's acceptable for the site.
Okay.
Okay. And then we have cholecystectomy. We have that as cholecystectomy.
Mhm.
And then cholecystectomy laparoscopic. We do have that cholecystectomy laparoscopic. Cholecystectomy laparoscopic with operative cholangiogram. We have cholecystectomy with cholangiogram laparoscopic.
Mhm.
Oh no, we just did that. We have cholecystectomy with operative cholangiogram. I guess it's not laparoscopic. We didn't do
That's
that.
open.
Yes, it's just open. So cholecystectomy and cholangiogram, I think is what it's written here. Then colectomy total. We have that as resection total colectomy.
Okay.
Then colonoscopy, we have as colonoscopy.
Mhm.
Colostomy closure. We have closure colostomy.
Mhm.
Colostomy laparoscopic. We have colostomy laparoscopic.
Okay.
Colostomy revision. We have revision colostomy.
Mhm. Is there a laparoscopic
Like
underneath it?
colostomy
Yeah,
revision.
well, maybe you might have those lower down, right? Yeah, okay, you might have those lower down. Yeah.
Okay.
You're gonna go from my list. Okay, yeah, so it
Yeah,
would be
from your
coming up
list.
later. Yeah, it'd be coming up later.
Mhm.
Okay.
Right. There's one here that says consult only.
I have,
just
that's
put
not mine. I
procedure
didn't
number.
create it. I have no idea why that there.
All right, so right here we have foreign body removal. And then we have notes here that we have multiple foreign body removal stuff in CST. So maybe I'll just show that to you. And you just let us know. Right.
Oh,
So we have several areas. Maybe you could just tell us which one
the
is
reason why, God. The reason why the foreign body exists would be the rectum.
rectum.
And I don't think I need to explain why. I think we could all think of that. Really, in my experience here, we've only ever extracted some things from there.
Okay.
Now,
Mhm.
if a fishbone is gone down the throat,
Right.
they would do a gastroscopy. So you might want, or where'd that list go again? You might
Right
want to
here.
have one created.
We have esophagoscopy with foreign bottle removal or bronchoscopy.
No,
Here.
again, that would be under,
Mhm.
that would be more so on Lee's services.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just leave it at that, and I guess they'd have to, if,
It's
let's,
the foreign body rectum.
I would just say that. Laura,
There's
you've
also
never seen it.
EGD with foreign body removal there. Actually
Sorry.
in your search. See the one above, 493? Would that
Uh,
be applicable?
We
Gas
had a
would do-
foreign body in the penis.
Yeah.
Do you have a foreign body on yours?
I don't know if I
Oh,
had heard.
yeah.
What were you extracted on?
I would just think if they saw a fishbone down there, they would do a gastroscopy. So they would pick a gastroscopy first and take a look, and then they would extract. Do you know what I mean? Or
But
They
would
would
they
do
use the
it-
same equipment for the EGD? I mean, technically they could go as far as the duodenum, but maybe not.
Yes, nice.
I don't know. You want the gastroscopy code as well?
Oh, I want to know if I get a reaction. Which one did you do that?
I would say no at this time,
Okay, okay.
because like usually it's the ENT surgeons that are ear, nose, and throat. They're looking in the throat for the fish. Do you know what I mean? And then they call general in for a consult. Do you know what I mean? Like they think they want to do a gastroscopy. So yeah, I'm gonna let's defer. Mine's usually just the rectum,
the rectum. Okay.
from my experience. But then again, you know, things can change. And then if I need it, then if it already exists, I can just ask for it to be added to me, right?
All right. So now we have gastrectomy, and we do have it as gastrectomy on the list.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then the next few are your bariatric procedures.
Yeah.
I'll make them green as well. To make sure that we are.
Bariatric, gastrectomy, sleeve, laparoscopic, yes. Bariatric, gastric band removal, laparoscopic, yes, because we will never be doing insertions of those again,
Nope.
ever.
Mm.
Bariatric gastric bypass, laparoscopic. Bariatric gastric bypass with chole, laparoscopic. Bariatric gastric revision / vertical gastric band, laparoscopic. Bariatric gastric sleeve with cholecystectomy. Today, under the revision, just today,
Mhm.
they have bariatric. It would be, well, today they're doing a gastric revision,
Mhm.
and we know they're doing a SATI. But the card they had to choose was obviously the vertical gastric band, right?
Mhm.
Which is not like a band up here. So I'm curious, I think I would need bariatric gastric revision with SATI.
Would we put revision first? We don't have any other
Yeah.
revision codes for this yet, do we?
No.
Oops, sorry.
Because they just had that today, which and the reason I say to have it, because I've had to put down the SATI card, because that gives the instructions and the instrumentation for the SATI.
And question, where it says gastrectomy, sleeve, laparoscopic, and then down where it says bariatric gastric sleeve, those are they similar, or is gastric sleeve different?
Where?
So the top green line where it says bariatric gastrectomy, sleeve, laparoscopic,
Mm-hmm.
and then the sixth green line down, bariatric gastric sleeve with chole, is the gastric sleeve and the gastrectomy sleeve the same? If it is, we need to make sure
That
we
they're
name
the
it the
same.
Oh, it's the
same,
same
whether
thing. It's the same thing. It's just when we,
so are we
whoever did
gonna
it in
name it gastric
Cyberland,
sleeve or gastrectomy sleeve?
Can we just do gastric sleeve for the
do
top one?
gastric, yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
I just want to
So
make sure.
somewhere along the line, when these were initially created, because I can tell you, I created the lap chole, the
Mhm.
revision, and the sleeve with chole. But the other ones were created back earlier before my time.
Okay.
So I
Right.
probably just did gastric. Sorry.
And the
Revision,
last one?
bariatric, gastric.
Is the last
Revision,
one.
bariatric. It would be, it needs to be reflective,
they've already had a gastric sleeve years ago and they're revising it with a SADI, right?
It's just a bariatric revision. With bariatric revision
Gastric.
to say, like, it would be a SADI.
Oh,
I don't know what they've had before. They could have had a bypass, they could have had a sleeve, they could have whatever, but it would be,
like revision.
like, I would say bariatric gastric revision.
Or it has to be
To-
revision bariatric.
Oh, why, oh, okay. But you don't have that up here above. You have bariatric gastric revision and
Those-
vertical gastric band.
Oh, yeah.
So it could be bariatric, gastric, revision
Mhm.
to SADI laparoscopic, no?
I think, as Michael had stated, like where it says below with the hernia, there's repair first. Revision should be the first part of the
Okay.
nomenclature.
So for
So
these
then up
ones,
here,
we
so then
have
up
to
here, then that
change.
has to be bariatric revision or revision bariatric.
Yeah, because we have that here as
Revision bariatric gastric.
But we
Okay,
can add synonyms for whatever you want to be
Mhm.
searchable to make it easier for staff. Like
Yeah.
if we add a
I
synonym,
think
they
people are
could-
just gonna have to get used to it. They can't no longer think that it's all alphabetical order. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
It's gonna be a learning curve. They're just gonna have to start, all of us are gonna have to start looking and going, what is it?
Yeah.
Where
and
is
then
it?
have to
just to
figure
make
out a
sure
name.
revision is at the top.
So two of them would need to have revision first.
Mm.
I don't know if they would do a revision to a bot, no, but
Are these names okay then?
revision bariatric gastric to SADI. Wouldn't that have to have laparoscopic?
And a
If
laparoscopic
it is,
one.
yeah.
One sec.
I think they're only laparoscopic.
They're only
so-
laparoscopic,
Yeah.
so I'll just.
Well,
add
I know,
that.
but if you have the words there, right, should it not follow suit?
No,
Yeah.
she's just saying, does she create a duplicate and have an open in a lap or just a lap?
Oh, no,
They're
no,
all
no,
lap.
no, no.
They're all
no.
lap. They're
All
all
lap.
They're lapsed. Oh, sorry, sorry, I got what you're saying.
Okay, so these ones are okay then? Just double check.
Mhm.
I
When
think
we say
so.
to Sadie, help me with the Sadie abbreviation again. Just so I can
Single
It's,
anastomosis duodenal switch.
two. Yeah, I think that's fine. I think that's great. It's
So
too
it's
long
just,
otherwise.
denoting they either had a sleeve
Yeah.
or gastric bypass before or
Oh, that's
whatever
fine.
else they want to
yeah.
call, and now they're actually doing the SADI.
Yep. And I think gastric is great as a overall capture for the previous was
Yeah.
a gastric something.
Yeah.
All right, so the next one is gastroenterostomy. We have gastrojejunoostomy.
Yeah.
I guess that, yeah, I think that's just, yeah. Yeah.
Location.
Okay. Next one, we have groin exploration. We have dissection lymph node inguinal.
I don't think this one was denoting the lymph node, but again, that's groin and inguinal are the same location, so
Mhm.
sure, yeah.
When you're doing groin exploration, what would it be for?
It could be for I mean, they could do this in conjunction with plastics, like it's just something's going on down below. It could be the lymph node.
Okay.
It could be anything, could be a compression of a nerve, it could be anything that they've from I mean, I'm just pulling this out of my hat now. They could have done like a fem case where something's gone on and now they're not really, looking at it from a vascular component, but they could be pulling from general going, I wonder if something's going on to the inguinal ligament. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they're gonna, I mean, I think they're gonna have to be sort of broad-minded too, right? No?
Yeah. Yeah,
Sarah?
I'm just trying to think. Let me see if there's anything else for groin. So for vascular, there is exploration vessel groin, but this was general surgery, right?
Yeah, so sometimes for general, they do it as well. A lot of it
has to do with hernias or lymph
There's
nodes?
Yeah, there's exploration wound incision or exploration wound with incision and drainage that are more generic. If
Yeah.
that is or exploration vessel groin. Those are the three that I think might be.
Is that vascular or general?
They're oh, hang on. The wound ones?
Mhm.
The procedure specialty isn't really relevant because again, the surgeon specialty will always dictate, and if it's booked or created under that surgeon, it would show their specialty. You could create it to
So
their specialty.
what's an option for groin exploration then? Besides dissection, like I think we do need dissection of lymph node inguinal. I think that does need to be
Mhm.
added because I know they've done that.
There's
here.
exploration vessel groin.
Can we have that? Can I have one of those created
Yep.
for me?
I'll put the
Look at
code in the chat.
Sarah.
Can I have one of those and those two?
That one and that one and that one.
The code's in the chat.
Thank you. Vessel groin.
Whatever Sarah said.
Exploration vessel groin. Yep.
Right.
And it's technically a vascular procedure by its current specialty naming.
But it could be for Gen 2.
Yeah, you can create it under somebody else that's specific to their specialty.
Yeah.
These are just the generic codes and what those generic codes were first created as. It's really a weird thing, the way that we do it.
I think it's hard here because we know what we know from Mary what we had to create, even though it was plastics. Now it's this. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So for the next two, we do have hemicolectomy, and then in the Cerner, we just have it as left and right. So we added one for yours.
So that is open. Those are denoting open, correct?
Yeah, open.
Yep. Okay, perfect. Because that hugely matters to the bunch.
Correct. Yeah. And they would see an option for
'Cause
laparoscopic. if they had a-
it's the time. That's the time component for that.
I see.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and then we have hemorrhoidectomy, and we have that as hemorrhoidectomy.
Yep.
And
Whole bunch of hernias.
hernia repair, femoral bilateral.
Mhm.
Repair hernia femoral bilateral. We have hernia repair femoral unilateral, so we just have that as herniorrhaphy femoral.
Okay.
Okay, and then we have hernia repair hiatal. We have repair hernia hiatal.
Okay.
We don't have an incisional one. So
So
we've just sort
yep.
of created repair hernia incisional, if
That'd
you're
be
okay with
perfect,
that
yep.
name.
Yep.
Great, and then we have hernia repair inguinal, both bilateral and unilateral.
Yep. Perfect. Yep.
So yep, they're the same. Hernia repair laparoscopic hiatus hernia. We do have repair hernia hiatal laparoscopic.
Mm-hmm.
Hernia repair laparoscopic inguinal femoral bilateral. We have repair hernia inguinal bilateral laparoscopic. It doesn't have femoral.
Okay, so
I wonder if we can just quickly look to see if there's a femoral laparoscopic.
I'm looking right now and there's just the hernia femoral bilateral and hernia femoral.
Hernia femoral, but not
Oh,
laparoscopic.
there is, sorry. Hernia femoral laparoscopic, and it I'll just send it to you in the chat.
Yeah.
those are gonna have to be separated, okay.
Mhm.
I think we're up to like 22 new cards. Yay me.
Okay.
And then that one would be bilateral as well too, right?
Yeah. And so, okay. All right, so repair hernia. And this next one, repair hernia. Inguinal, laparoscopic, and then I guess we'll just need a femoral. There's a femoral unilateral there too, correct?
There's just, I don't see a unilateral, I just see bilateral.
Is there one with no bilateral and then just femoral laparoscopic?
So the one that I have is just repair hernia femoral laparoscopic. So if we want a bilateral, we'll probably
see.
have to add the bilateral.
Okay. Oh, I see. So this one is just, I think I put it for the wrong, oh no, that is one. And then for bilateral. Okay. I think we just need to make a bilateral. Okay. I think that's it.
And you have, like right above the one with the X's, 306 is in red.
Yeah.
Is that in red for a reason?
That I'm not sure why it's
Because it is the number on the master list. It's 306 and it is the inguinal laparoscopic. So
okay, so it is correct?
Yep.
Okay, so maybe I'll just, maybe that was a error.
no worries.
All right, so next one is hernia repair laparoscopic, ventral, incisional, umbilical. We do have the ventral laparoscopic here.
Yep.
So then you would need to create incisional and umbilical laparoscopic.
I think so. Do you know if they're already in there, Sarah? Just quickly.
I'm looking, I don't have an umbilical
Okay.
and there's no incisional.
Okay.
There's an umbilical repair, hernia repair, but it's not laparoscopic.
Yeah, that's open.
The other one is incisional.
And what's the difference between incisional versus the other hernias?
So the incisional can encompass a broader region, umbilical is smaller, and then ventral as well too is the specific of the location. And each would denote something completely different clinically, what we would use for that.
Okay. I'm just wondering, the reason they might not have incisional is they've denoted it as something else, but
I mean, clinically, I just know what my guys are saying here, but
totally.
you know, a doctor from VGH, I mean, yeah.
All right. So then we have hernia repair paraesophageal laparoscopic.
Mhm.
We have repair hernia hiatal paraesophageal laparoscopic.
Yep.
Yeah. Then we have hernia repair peristomal. We
Okay,
have
right.
hernia repair peristomal. Okay. Hernia repair umbilical, hernia repair umbilical.
Mhm.
Hernia repair ventral. We do have hernia repair ventral. So ileostomy, revision, closure.
Mhm.
We have closure ileostomy.
Okay, so sometimes we do have to do the revision of an ileostomy
Okay.
where something has gone on and they are not actually gonna close, they're gonna just revise it, so.
Okay, so maybe I'll add another row.
I'm just looking to see if we have that. We have a revision colostomy, we have a revision stoma. Do you think a revision stoma would be?
Yeah, we could do, yeah, because stoma,
Revision
that could,
stoma?
maybe that
Okay.
could denote, really anyone, right?
Yeah,
And their time would be reflective of however long it takes them to do that.
Okay.
yeah,
Can you just
So the-
pass the code?
yep. It is Gen
Yeah.
00138.
Right, thank you. Okay. Great, so the next one, we have laparoscopic anterior sigmoid resection with EEA. I think we've just divided that into two. We have the resection low anterior column and then a closure colostomy.
Okay. I mean, that might, okay, yeah, because that's denoting, this is, did I have laparoscopic for this on the other side, or is this open?
Sorry, let me see. Oh yes,
No,
laparoscopic as well.
So this is laparoscopic, so this doesn't show
I
laparoscopic.
don't think so. Can you just double check really quickly, Sarah, if there's a laparoscopic version of this?
One moment. Sorry.
And also while Sarah's checking that, just very quickly, I realized that we only have about 5 minutes left onto our meeting. I was just wondering if everyone was okay to keep going or if you needed to go and maybe we'll do a second session another time.
I'm okay, because I don't have any rooms running today, but I don't know about you guys.
I am okay to keep going.
So is this just for colostomy? The one you asked me to look for?
For
Or
resection
is it-
anterior colon, to look for laparoscopic version.
Section.
Is this code here is denoting we're doing the anterior and sigmoid, so this is like a lower end, and then
Yeah.
we're doing a colostomy reversal.
So I guess for colostomy also like laparoscopically.
Yeah,
I'm
like
just
this would
trying
all
to
be laparoscopic, like
resection.
we'd be going in, yes, they'd have
I
a
have
So I
stoma.
have resection, colectomy, laparoscopic, resection, small bowel, laparoscopic,
There's quite a few reception laparoscopic or
resection,
laparoscopy, large intestine, low anterior colon, small intestine.
bowel, laparoscopic.
Yeah.
I would just have to see your names as to what we have there denoting what we're doing, right?
Yeah. Try just try laparoscop. Or no, try actually, sorry. In your search, try resection first, and then you'll see all of them nicely lined
Yeah.
up.
That's what I have.
Section, so.
And then if you go to and then you sort by
Low anterior
alphabetical there,
colon,
and it's a bit
no,
easier to
it's
see.
laparoscopic.
If I search by,
Or sort alphabetically in the description column. It'll be a
Oh.
bit easier.
okay.
Yeah. And then your resection bowel or reception lap. There's a bunch of reception laparoscopic.
We
or
do have
laparoscopy.
resection anterior colon laparoscopic here.
Is that applicable? Is that the low anterior that you would want, Cheryl?
Is that the only version you guys have?
No, there's several other
There's lots.
resection.
I just
Just
trying to
a
read
lot
what
of
you guys-
resections here.
So where it says in the comments, like the synonyms, it's resection, laparoscopic, low anterior colon.
Oh yeah, it does say low anterior colon here on the synonym. So I think
Yeah.
it would be the same one as here. So maybe I'll change that.
Low anterior section, yeah.
Here.
But we already have the low anterior section right here.
I think it's because right here it says laparoscopic, so this one doesn't reflect laparoscopic.
Okay.
So now we're just gonna make it reflect that. And then I'll copy the synonyms here as well. Just so it reflects that. Low anterior colon. And then we just need colostomy closure.
So then again, that would have to be done separately like angio, Michael?
Mhm. I believe.
Which one? The
So we have closure, colostomy, laparoscopic here as well.
what were the codes that would be split out?
Yeah, so
The-
they were sort of split up because it was a laparoscopic anterior resection, and then there's a colostomy reversal.
Oh, I
So we
see.
split it up to laparoscopic resection anterior colon and laparoscopic closure colostomy.
But you wouldn't need two case cards because you get a redundancy of instrumentation.
Yeah, you could technically have resection anterior colon laparoscopic with
Mm.
colostomy reversal if you wanted to ask for a with colostomy reversal code. If you wanted it,
But a lot of people would do that. So I'm just curious what the other people are doing because they,
they must be doing duplicate procedures or just booking the resection and not including the fact that it's a reversal of a colostomy in the booking process.
yeah, but they'd have to because that's what the doctor's billing, right? No?
So the billing based on these codes isn't like a 1-for-1. Surgeons bill based on what they document in their operative note. And so like just because the code here isn't like end-to-end comprehensive, it doesn't mean they can't bill for what they physically do. It's never been a requirement that each code has to match a billing code from our perspective.
So
It should
no
be
one up,
accurate to the clinical
so no one up
documentation that's
until this point has reversal. It's just a
well,
given.
that's I'll double check. I mean, I don't see a with a actually
No, I
let's double
don't
check.
see-
Because this one here just says resection anterior colon laparoscopic, but they're doing it because they're doing an end-to-end anastomosis now. So this is like.
Yeah, there's a reversal Hartmann procedure laparoscopic. There's colonoscopy with reversal of sigmoid volvulus, but no, there's nothing specific.
No one's
to-
having EEA unless. Or lab,
I mean, there's lots of sigmoid resections with EEA that don't require a colostomy reversal as part of it. I think
Yeah.
I maybe they're just lumping them together. I'm
okay,
not sure.
I guess, well, I mean,
It's up to you, but if you want to just use, again, if you want to request a with code for line 560, that's fine too. So resection anterior
can we
colon.
request it? Can you do that now and see what people think or no?
Yeah, we can do that now.
Yeah, sure, see what they think. I mean, if the answer is no, then it's
So
no.
here, we're just gonna add with
Colostomy reversal colostomy reversal.
and then I will just remove this row.
Sure. And then that we just make it red as a request, which is okay. I mean, is this the first request so far? So I'm not the request that's not unique to your site.
And then
And they'll come by with why they don't want it, so. Right?
I mean, it's fine. It's a good question to the group. I don't think it's a problem to ask.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah, no, I mean, and they're either gonna say yes or no, it's like it's. Cause then I can tell the surgeons, well, it went out to everybody and. They can talk amongst the surgeon group, right?
Right, so the next one we have laparoscopic left hemicolectomy, and we have resection bowel laparoscopic lithotomy.
So left and right bowel surgeries are quite different in length and time and what they do.
Mhm.
So I'm just curious why lithotomy is saying the position, like of course, like
Let me see what they have on
I'm just curious why now lithotomy is showing up there because a right hemi is usually supine. Yes, a left hemi is usually in lithotomy, but like we have a left, right, and transverse colon, so times and that are very different and for.
Right, so in hemicolectomy, I don't think there was anything laparoscopic.
So then I know BGH of those guys must have it. So I'm just curious how they're wording it then.
Yeah. Or I could do reception.
I do have on the MPL list hemicolectomy right, hemicolectomy left.
But that's
Is
open.
that laparoscopic?
No, those are open.
Those are open.
Mhm,
So
For the
it
o-
would appear to me that they're doing these, they're doing lithotomy and supine as
mhm.
left and right, but
I think
again, it's
so.
very,
Yeah,
like, you can do transverse in lithotomy as well too.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, so they're doing it as left and right. You're correct. Yeah, lithotomy and supine.
I have resection anterior colon laparoscopic. I have,
yeah, but that's different than left and right. That's lower.
yeah, it is.
That's,
Yeah.
that's different anatomy. So, okay, I guess
Yeah.
it's just the way they're looking at it. Lithotomy is left and supine is right. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right.
Maybe I'll retire before then, Gloria. I can see so many things. Oh my gosh.
All right, so for the next one, we have laparoscopic low anterior resection with EEA, reversal of Hartmann's colostomy.
That's laparoscopic. This doesn't show
This
laparoscopic.
doesn't show laparoscopic.
Has to be laparoscopic.
I think there's a reversal of Hartmann's code.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we have the reversal of Hartmann's procedure laparoscopic here.
Yeah.
Can't remember why this was done in two. I think they're the same one. I think because it's we don't have a, oh no, we should have a low anterior resection. I think I saw that. Mm. Um,
There's a low anterior colon or low anterior transanal assisted laparoscopic
That's different.
resection.
That means that
I
transanal
know
means it's
the
going up through the rectum,
TEM. Yeah, TEM.
and
Yeah.
that's very different. Like I should have that card, but they haven't done
No.
that here in years.
Okay.
So we have the stuff for it.
I thought we had it. Didn't we have an
We have
anterior?
one because we had
have-
two
oh,
boxes and
this
they
is it.
outdated.
We have this. Hang
We
on.
did it.
Just
I
like
think we just put something in
I know,
there,
I
but can't
thought
remember
we
the
put
name.
something like resection, like low anterior resection that was laparoscopic.
Oh, there we go. It is the resection anterior colon laparoscopic.
yeah.
Section anterior colon laparoscopic.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Colon laparoscopic. And sorry, what was the code for that?
Gen
Sorry,
00
Yeah.
188.
00188.
Okay, so we have it as two things. We have it here as resection anterior colon laparoscopic and a reversal Hartmann's procedure laparoscopic.
They're gonna have to figure that out. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this next one, we have laparoscopic resection small bowel. We have resection small bowel laparoscopic.
Mm-hmm. Right, hemi supine. We just did that. Yeah.
Correct. The right hemi is supine. Laparoscopic transverse bowel resection. I don't think we have that, but if someone could just really quickly check.
Section, and what's the when we have a section transverse?
I don't think of anything with
Transverse.
anything with transverse. I don't think those exist.
No.
Okay,
Can
so
that be
we did,
created?
yeah, so we named it as resection bowel transverse laparoscopic. For
Okay, yep.
Right, so we have laparoscopy, diagnostic possible lysis of adhesion. We have lysis of adhesions, but it
Needs
doesn't
to be
have
a laparoscopic.
laparoscopic there. Lysis. Oh, right here. Lysis of adhesion, abdominal laparoscopic.
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay. Right, we have laparotomy exploratory here.
Mhm.
And then lipoma excision. We have excision lipoma. I think we just made something like that earlier as well with the mass removal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lymph node biopsy excision. We have biopsy lymph node.
Sure, yep.
We have Neeson's fundoplication. We have fundoplication Neeson.
Mhm.
Okay, right here we have Neeson's fundoplication laparoscopic and laparoscopic gist wedge partial gastrectomy.
Okay, so, oh, man,
We have the laparoscopic Neeson fundoplication.
damn it. So, yeah,
Actually, we have I think we had them in two. So we have the gastrectomy partial laparoscopic and then the Neeson fundoplication
so the
laparoscopic.
gist and the wedge need to be in there because those are for cancer.
Mm,
So, Dr. Nguyen is predominantly the one that does that, and Dr. York. But
When you say they're
those,
for cancer, what does it indicate when they book them that
it's part of, so if the stomach is,
But so like
I'm
gist
gonna draw a
and
really
wedge.
shitty stomach, but let's just say that that's a stomach, which it's totally not.
Yeah.
Sure.
What they're gonna do is like the gist is, I'm gonna just kind of do that, like, see the little markings I have there?
Yeah.
It's sort of
Uh-huh.
denoting at what part they're gonna bring up, what they're gonna take down, where the
Okay.
cancer is. It's completely different. It's not like a full gastrectomy. It is like a partial and sort of unique to sort of the markers on what they're doing with it.
Mm.
And they
I
will
think
put gist and wedge because it is yeah,
Does it require
when
different equipment?
it's the same equipment, but
it's
'Cause
just that
I'm
when they book procedures
Yeah.
with their booking code, they have to give a diagnosis code, and that will capture any cancer involvement. And then in their operative report, they would talk about like you don't have to have cancer related diagnoses as a result, like as a reason.
no, but
for
like, I mean, this
But
predominantly
if
I've seen the gist and the wedge done for cancer.
yeah,
The Neeson is that could be done for hernias. So like,
but would the partial gastrectomy not apply to like the gist and the wedge because they're all kind of partial gastric resected,
yeah,
like partial
I
gastrectomies?
hear what you're saying,
Yeah.
but they meaning my people here do not look at it at that because it's not you could be taking that much out of the stomach as opposed to a
Mhm.
partial gastrectomy, which is the size of a
Yeah.
banana, like
Got it.
that
Yeah.
coming out. So
So
it
what
is
is the
slightly different.
what is the abbreviation in terms of get
Oh.
gist or wedge?
Well, oh sweet Jesus.
Sorry. Not trying to make it harder. I just don't yeah.
Because I'm not
I'll also
finding those abbreviations anywhere. And so I just don't want to add something that might be called something else somewhere.
Hang on a second.
gastrointestinal stromal tumors, I think.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get that for you.
This is the
I have it in my book in the core, but I can't run there right now because I'm with you guys.
yeah, no, we can just put partial gastrectomy and then put this at the end if you want. But I feel like, you know, I mean, we can do that and then make it a site specific code if that's their intent. Or Rochelle?
So I'll put gist and wedge at the end of partial gastrectomy.
I would put, it would be like gastrectomy, partial, gist, laparoscopic, I think is what it would be.
Gist, okay. And
I
what
put the
if
naming convention in the chat if you want it. Or maybe just stromal tumor if you want to do that. If that's not, is that gonna confuse everyone, Sarah, if we just put stromal tumor instead of gist?
100%, because they'll be like, what?
see.
No, but it would, because Dr. Nguyen will book it as a gist.
Okay.
I'll remove this.
Could we have gist as a synonym? And
Or I
wedge
can put
when
the gastrostromal as a synonym as well.
Because I'm wondering if it's
Other sites.
a partial gastrectomy, just being.
I'm wondering, Sarah, part of the reason I'm wondering is like if it's a small resection versus a major one, like you're saying, the size of the area they're removing, is it a significant difference in the length of time that it takes them to do it?
Yeah.
It could be sometimes depending on, I mean, I can't speak to the 87 surgeons within coastal.
No, there's the ones at your site.
No,
Like,
but you
if
know,
it's a
but
gist,
you
is
know
it-
what I mean? Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like
yeah.
it
But
depends
nobody else
on,
has that code right now,
it
so
depends
you're
on
the
what
only one.
it depends on what they do. Like I don't know if everybody else does the wedge or the gist. I know we do quite a bit here.
Mhm.
And time wise, it just depends the vasculature, the how like what's done with the anatomy. Like I don't know, have they had radiation, have they had chemo,
Yeah.
and I'm just pulling this out of my head. I don't know other anomalies that are going on. You
Mhm.
know, I it could take long, it could take the same time. I'm not
Can we
let me take a look.
take-
Hang on, you know what? Let me take a look at Dr.
and if you like highlight those in a different color, we can look at VGHs to see if there's
Just for these ones though.
yeah, we can contact VGH or something. And wedge doesn't stand for anything, it's a wedge shaped. I just Googled.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's a
Yeah,
lady
that's
here,
just a
yeah.
smaller resection. And it's stromal, unfortunately. It's STROMAL.
Oh, okay.
So I have 225 minutes. This is Dr. Newen. Let me just see. Let me just get Dr. Sam Path. Where's your card?
Well, what's Dr. Newen's baseline partial gastrectomy time
Hang on a sec,
versus
yeah.
the other? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking. Give me a minute.
No rush. Just thinking as fast.
Neeson. So Dr. Sampath for his Neeson fundiplication, gastric gist wedge partial gastrectomy is 172 minutes. Dr. Newens, and he does more, is 225.
But they only have one code for all three, for Nissen fundiplication,
Yeah.
for gastrectomy
Wedge.
partial, and
Yeah.
for gist, and for wedge. So right now they're not being very discreet if they're just using one code for all of those, which is why if
They'll
we're
put in the comments, they'll put in the like on their
the
booking
booking
form,
comments, yeah.
not the comments on the side. It will come
okay.
on the slate
Yeah.
like gastric wedge.
Yep.
Because then the DPC, yeah, like so that
So-
we know he's going to do that. But
Yeah. If he marks those on the comments on his booking form, clerks are still copying those to the slate and Cerner as well. Like, we're not getting rid of that process. So the code doesn't have to be as discreet because
but they're
that-
not going to see gist and wedge. So then they're going to be like, what am I picking? Because they're going to be used to seeing gist and wedge. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking ahead, booking clerks are, I'm going to be having to make changes
Mm.
until they all reflect, no, it's not just a partial gastrectomy. It is actually,
Yeah.
like, could we not have it just gist and wedge together? Like, so we can't have a slash like that?
Well, it's because they're not the same clinical
I
reason,
know,
right?
I
So
know.
that doesn't apply to that patient when it lands on their record. And that's why we can't have
Mhm.
the and or as part of any code. It's just like, that's the one thing we can't really do. We can do with, if it's always done together, we can do separate. But if we don't know for sure that they're going to do A or B, we can't put A and B in the same code.
Then I would like all three then, because I'm surprised that other areas aren't doing that then, because
Yeah,
a
we can
partial
add-
gastrectomy doesn't, it denote, I mean, I can't see how they've been doing it in other areas. I mean, I wish I could. 'cause they're all
Yeah,
doing
then
it
the
already right
nurses are
now.
still confirming what exactly was done in the room to write it to the record in the free text, but the code shouldn't indicate that anything was done that wasn't done. If that makes sense.
But then I think then it should be picked, if we're doing a gist, then they should be picking a gist. Like, I get it's a gastrectomy, I get that, but it's not, it's completely different than, you know, an open or a like a gastric sleeve. We're not doing this as a gastric bariatric procedure. This is now,
Mhm.
we're doing it for, you know, is it because we have ulcers there and now it's, you know, going into the peritoneum. So now we're going to have to do a partial gastrectomy on that, right? Or the cancer is now at the cardiac, you know, whatever.
Yeah,
Or the
I mean-
fundus, right? It's completely, I'd just be curious to know what other people are doing, why it wouldn't have been denoted like this earlier.
I think it's mostly because the SPR relies on the operative report for the diagnosis and the relating reasons for the procedure.
But
So
then you're also hoping that they're putting it in, oh, okay.
they have to put a reason for a procedure and a diagnosis and a post-operative diagnosis on every operative report.
I
They're
mean, can we
required to.
request it, and then if people come back and say, hey, we're
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
it with this,
Totally,
and then I'll, then
totally.
I might, then I get their rationale, and I'll be like, oh, okay.
I just
then
don't
I-
want you to feel responsible for their documentation. That's all I'm trying to like.
No, but I mean,
Yeah.
if this doesn't go and 6 people say, no, we don't want this, then I can at least say to surgeons, this is what's going on in, like in coastal with like 67 other general surgeons. This
Yes.
is what's going, this
norm.
isn't new to us, like we're all doing, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
Hey, yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we're really not trying to be difficult. We just have to toe the
Oh, no,
line
I
the
don't think you
same
guys
for
are
everyone.
difficult. I just,
Okay.
I mean, I'm making decisions for hopefully some very strong people.
I feel you, Cheryl.
And I've already got in my head what I know what they're gonna say, and it's just, but it's mine and I'm the only one. It's like, well, no, there's like 87 of you really doing it, but okay. It's all about you.
The snowflake syndrome. It's okay.
Yeah.
We're all OR nurses by background.
Like, yeah, you're the only one. Like one of my surgeons says, I am doing what does he say? Leading edge cutting laparoscopic surgery. Well, last time I checked, there's about 5 of you doing it here, but okay. You do you.
I'm not going to ask the initials, but that's okay.
I think Rochelle might know who that is.
Yeah, I think I know too.
Yep.
All right, so just
Love
to
the person
double check-
dearly. I do. Highest
Yeah.
respect.
all right, so just to double check with the gastrectomy partials, is this okay that we put just laparoscopic and then partial wedge laparoscopic for these ones?
Partial would have to be in there, right? I
Yeah,
guess because of
partial.
the nomenclature,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
so.
Yep.
Right, so we
Yep.
have 3 names there, okay?
Okay.
Right. Then the next one is organ retrieval.
So the
/
reason this one was created was because an underdone surge is because with the and I want to be politically correct, and I'm probably not going to be we're not
Transplant.
harvesting, we are retrieving.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Procurement.
So we copied that from Dr. Nigra's card in BGH, I think is where it's from, or St. Paul's. So
Yeah, they're
that's
all
why
using
we-
procurement organ now. for
Yeah.
most of
Perfect.
us.
Whatever they all have, I'm happy with.
Mm.
Perfect. Okay. And then we have pancreatectomy. We do have that as well as pancreatectomy.
Haven't done that here in years, but yep, that I've seen, and it's my stuff. Anyway, yeah.
And
Not to say we couldn't. Yep.
then we have parathyroidectomy. We do have that as parathyroidectomy.
Okay.
Okay, so the next one, I don't think we have, is the pilonidal cyst in excision.
I
So we
have
just-
excision pilonidal sinus.
Is that the same?
Can we go back? Sorry, what was that? Can I go?
Yeah, so this is what we have, or what you have. And then I think what Sarah has is excision pilonidal sinus.
I know it's been like that, and I don't know why. Because it should say sinus, because the one below it says with flap.
Mm. So
Do
it
you know
should
what I
say
mean?
sinus, but yours says cyst, so it's okay if we just change this to sinus then? Right here.
Well, cyst and sinus is like,
They're different.
well,
Well, is a cyst because there's a sinus? in the
no, but
pilonidal
what I'm
area?
saying is I didn't create this one, right? This was
Yeah,
already
yeah.
created, so I'm thinking when it went from handwritten to this, right, to Ormus, like if you look, pilonidal cyst excision, then there's pilonidal sinus excision with flap reconstruction.
Mhm.
I'm thinking when it did it back in time, it should have said pilonidal cyst excision, a sinus excision.
Oh, I
I
see.
think like if
It
the
is that.
cyst ruptures and creates a sinus, then you can technically, I think both are clinically accurate, probably.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking
Right.
it should just maybe say sinus and.
Okay,
uh,
do you have the
Um,
code for that?
I do. I'm going to get it to you. And then I have a second one, but I don't think we need it.
What
It
is
says
it?
pilonidal sinus excision minor. But I don't know why. I think we
Because
just leave it.
somebody in some land is doing that
Yeah.
in some place. Well, nice to know it exists. Well, this it's a trial and error right now.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then the next one, we have the flap closure pilonidal sinus. Right here, it's pilonidal sinus excision with flap reconstruction. Is that?
But you guys don't have, you don't have the reconstruction in there. I wonder why they don't have that there.
I mean, the flap closure is,
I know, yeah.
I think we use
Sure.
the word reconstruction when we have like a pre-existing biological structure that you're fixing. So like, because this, you know what I mean?
But like we do like our pilonidal sinus here, and when plastics will come in, because
Mhm.
we'll have to excise the the pilonidal sinus, right? And then we use our phenol,
Yeah.
and then so maybe, yeah.
But
So
all of our reconstruction codes have like the part that we're reconstructing named after reconstruction, I guess is what I'm saying. So
I see what you're saying.
so when I say reconstruction, it's reconstruction ankle, reconstruction ear, reconstruction
Okay, no,
forefoot.
then I think let's just leave it like that then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And next one we have rectal abscess, incision and drainage. We have incision and drainage, rectal abscess.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh my.
Right. Rectal polyp biopsy excision. We have, I don't think we have it. So if someone could just really quickly check just in case.
Rectal. So what is it called? Rectal polyp.
Yeah, it's called rectal polyp biopsy or
Okay,
excision.
nothing under
We have nothing with polyp that's
rectal.
not a, it's like all of our polyp codes are like endoscopy codes.
I
We
see.
don't have anything that's open.
Okay.
Let me try rectum. I have
Yeah,
biopsy
we can
rectum.
request it. Pardon me?
I have
You have
biopsy rectum.
Yeah, that would be a biopsy. Yeah.
There's biopsy rectum with suction. Oh.
Which one are we looking at?
There's one, so we're looking at this one here,
Rectal
Cheryl, where it
polyp,
says
rectal
rectal
polyp,
polyp biopsy. So I think Sarah found rectal biopsy.
Biopsy.
So
Biopsy
these guys, so Sampath and Newen, I'm just looking. Let me look at Houston. They've done one. Houston would probably do more. Rectal. So number of cases. Everybody has one. So why don't we just do it? What do you guys have?
We have
Biopsy.
biopsy
rectum.
rectum. Does that,
Let's just do that.
all right, sounds good.
Because if we research, do I have to have a separate record, right? And check off research tissue harvesting or no? I don't think we need this at all.
There's also, sorry, I found another one.
Oh, yeah,
Excision lesion rectum. Does that
that
do
better.
more?
A and B, just A.
Legion.
I don't think so. I think biopsy rectum will give.
I think that's fine, considering
More
I'm looking at these guys and I print these off routinely.
Mhm.
All of them have one,
Okay.
you know, like,
Yep. Perfect.
yeah.
Okay, sounds good. So biopsy, okay. Then we have rectal prolapse repair. We have repair rectal prolapse, rectal approach.
Yeah, so we do have to. Yeah, I already have that. Yeah, I already have that.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
let me get his.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, I don't know where it is. I think it's at the front. Yeah.
What do I have that, what do I have mine? I have mine under rectal prolapse.
Rectal prolapse repair.
So what do they have?
They have repair rectal prolapse, rectal approach.
But there's also others. There's repair rectal prolapse abdominal approach, repair rectal prolapse abdominal approach laparoscopic, and then repair rectal prolapse perineal approach laparoscopic. I think this is why the approaches are all listed.
So I would need all of those because that's exactly what it is. Like we can do 3, we can do transanal, laparoscopic, rectal. So that's all encompassed on my card. Like so when I have my DPC,
I
it
see.
says transanal, laparoscopic, da 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 da.
Yeah.
It would appear now that these all have to be separately listed, right?
If
They're
you
gonna have
want them to, if you want them to have unique codes for each, technically, yeah.
Well, yeah, because if they're gonna do an Ultimar, then they're gonna do an Ultimar. Like right now, they just
Mhm.
pick this one there and then it's done.
Mhm.
But then if they're gonna do the Delorum, if they're gonna do the laparoscopic transanal, then they, for the rectal prolapse, then yeah. Which means I'm separating, so it's like I'm up to like 50 cards. Gloria, I'm retiring next week. We had that conversation last week.
If it's any consolation, like manipulating or changing the contents of cards in Cerner, I think is a bit easier than Ormus.
I think
So,
it's just gonna be a lot of work for us, because I think we know, we just,
it's upfront work for sure. We know that it's more
we
work
just
upfront.
know, like, I'm just sitting here going, wow, if I, and we haven't even touched how to do it. I mean, I know you guys have shown us and we've seen the screen in the book and the things, and you pick over here, it's like, what? Like, because we're so used to doing Ormus, right? So it's whatever. It's gonna be what it's gonna be. We'll get it done.
All right, I think this next one is actually a repeat. I think we have like rectum, foreign body removal. And I think we
Yep.
already had removal
Way
of
up top.
foreign body rectum, correct?
Yep. Yep. That was somewhere way
Yeah, it's way above. I don't know
2
if we
hours ago.
just remove this or just leave it there, and I'll just put yes for now.
Hmm.
All right, next one is sentinel node biopsy breast bilateral. I think they didn't have the bilaterals for these ones, so we have the excision sentinel lymph node breast, which is the unilateral
Yep.
version.
Mhm.
So I just created bilateral.
And
Yeah.
the other is because it's inguinal, but the reason it says other
Right here.
is because, I mean, could they do a sentinel lymph node? And they could do it anywhere.
I
But
see.
yeah, so in Cerner, we have other.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, so we do that. Yeah, we have other for both.
Yeah.
I think the only difference is I think one of them doesn't have bilateral. I'll just add
I
bilateral
don't
here.
think either one of them has bilateral.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so okay.
Does this mean we're coming to the end of general? Oh my God.
Yeah, we're almost done.
Yay.
Great. So we have sigmoid resection with EEA. We do have sigmoid resection colon here.
Okay, well, yep.
Then we have sigmoidoscopy. We have sigmoidoscopy as well.
We don't have the sigmoidoscope anymore, but I think we'll leave it as sigmoidoscopy because maybe
Okay.
they might have it as something else.
All right. And then we have small bowel resection, small bowel.
Mhm.
Sphincterotomy. We have sphincterotomy.
Mhm.
And then we have splenectomy. We also have splenectomy.
Okay. MIS splenectomy, yeah.
Yeah, the next one is just splenectomy laparoscopic. Perfect. We have stomach or jejunum insertion of tube. I think we just have insertion jejunostomy tube.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Then thyroidectomy, we do have thyroidectomy. Then UGI endoscopy.
It's basically
Upper.
it's like a gastroscopy.
We
Yeah.
have here as esophageal gastroduodenoscopy.
I
I
believe
think
that
that's
is
what they do like in the endo
EGD.
suite, like
Yeah.
they are moving towards here us doing other stuff late. I don't know where they're at with that, but this would just be a gastroscopy, but
Yeah, this is okay.
well,
I think they have to denote if they're going upper or lower. And this one denotes the upper, which
This
is
one
the
denotes
esophageal.
upper.
but
Should I-
then,
EGD.
but for colonoscopy, you have colonoscopy. So how come there wouldn't be gastroscopy?
Mm,
Because I
I think
think,
we're just sort of following your list. So if you have one that says gastroscopy, then
I have one. I don't know why you don't have on the list, but I do have one that says gastroscopy.
okay.
Uh,
'cause I know a UGI endoscopy
Mhm.
is an EGD, which is the esophageal.
no, you know what? It comes under upper GI. That's why. That's why
Yeah.
Deb had it as upper GI.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I could ask that to be renamed.
Um, this one, like you're on your list?
Yeah.
Oh, upper GI. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, you can put a question mark here, because I think this one, and Michael can maybe speak to it, the SPR component of this, and like,
Because this is
Yeah,
a
I
little
just don't
bit
think
more.
they don't really care. An upper scope is an upper scope, and it's the diagnostic, like the diagnosis code that they care about that goes with it more than anything.
okay,
But
So
if,
it has to
but-
stay as this one then.
well, I mean, it's what's available. I'm looking to see what else exists, and
Yeah.
I don't currently see. Um,
So no one else does a gastroscopy within the OR?
well, they don't book them as such. They're usually done in combination, right? If they do it, then it's because they're doing something else. They would never book just a straight gastroscopy. Typically, do you book just single gastroscopies, or are they always in the
Yeah, sometimes if the bariatric surgeon, something's going on post a bariatric case.
Yeah, yeah.
They come
You
back
guys,
and then they'll do a gastroscopy to see what's going on. Yeah.
that might be unique. Like, I don't know if that's actually like a frequently done thing
I have
elsewhere.
one code,
Mhm.
gastroscopy. I'll put it, maybe we can put a question mark
Where are you finding it?
on the list, 1 second.
Because I can't find it on my master MPL.
Gastroscopy. Okay.
But then there's colonoscopy with gastroscopy with biopsy, colonoscopy with gastroscopy with biopsy with polyectomy.
Because that's what they're gonna do in the endo suite, that's all reflecting endo. So here we would just do for our transverse and left hemis and anterior sections and sigmoids, we're gonna do a colonoscopy to make sure that the anastomosis and everything we've done is good. Their bariatric, GIST, wedge, all of those, we're gonna do a gastroscopy to make sure that the anastomosis site and what we've done is good. So they are two very, very big things that we do here.
All right. So I've just changed it to gastroscopy.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Next one, we have back dressing change. We have application of negative pressure wound therapy device.
I guess that's what it's called. Yes, we're not going with the company. Like Michael said 2 hours ago.
Oh, and our last one, colonoscopy.
So colonoscopy, we're not the cancer screening. That one, I
Yeah.
guess, would be somewhere else. We are just colonoscopy.
Just colonoscopy. All right. Let me just look up colonoscopy.
I can do that. I can do
Thank you.
Yeah, they would book those cancer screening ones to your GI clinic at your site,
Yeah,
not to you
yeah,
guys.
yeah. They are looking, from what I've heard, but I don't know where we're at with that because whatever, like because our endo people don't stay late. So on nights, evenings, yada, 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 when they want to do some procedures there, they want them to be done here, but there's a whole other realm of certifications and stuff that need to be done. So we could be adding what you see the endo stuff there, but that's not at this time, but there's talk and up and way above my pay grade level, just as a FYI.
All right, so we are now done.
Yeah,
General
and for
surgery.
those ones, for those after hours ones, they would never be part of the screening program because those are all scheduled procedures there.
No.
So we'll make sure that if there's urgent ones booked, we can always add those in later for sure.
Yeah.
So
Alright.
did you have any other services, Cheryl, that we didn't get?
Let me see. if
We're
I-
vascular. You
So
guys
I
have
did gastroenterology, general, and vascular.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
did we do
did-
vascular? Did we do our FEMS?
I
Oh,
think
yes,
we
did.
did vascular in the beginning. We
That
started
was so
with, like-
long ago, I forgot.
Yeah, we started with triple A's.
There was something then for vascular, then I didn't see, hang on, let me just read that wrong one.
Yeah.
Dr. Houston's. Aorta, no, hang on. Did you guys have, I have a vascular aorto bifem bypass, did we do that one?
Believe so.
Yeah, right there, okay.
Aorto bifemoral bypass.
Okay, axillary bifemoral bypass, did we do
Yeah,
that
we
one?
have that one as well.
We did that one, okay. Just want to make sure.
No, that's fine.
What we can do, Cheryl, is we can send this to you for you to review
Mhm.
What
without
about
like
the
the
iliac
glazed eyes.
artery, the iliac artery and iliofemoral and arterectomies? Did we do all those?
I
Iliac
believe we did
artery?
early on.
I believe so as well.
Iliofemoral?
Iliofemoral. And so-
Oh.
How was it
Iliac-
spelled in your code?
ILIO.
I see.
Down here, we did those already?
Iliofemoral endarterectomy. We do
Yep.
have some stuff there with angioplasty.
And we did that. We did all those already?
Yep,
Yep.
it's just at the bottom of the
Oh.
screen here. We have codes on the right.
So we did it. We said yes and no.
we did.
That's like a long time ago.
It's
A
also
while
the
ago.
it's also the process, right? We know that, and as we are going through, I was noting to the others that you seem to have services that are more prone to these needs for niche requests. So
It's just because I mean, and it's like the other surgeons in other areas. It's just
Yeah.
it's
They're needy.
lack of a
Yeah.
better word. I don't think they're gonna like Cerner or Ormus because it's like they don't like to be, especially the vascular surgeons, like, yeah,
Mhm.
they can do an iliofemoral endarterectomy, but they can get in there and find out now like, oh, holy crap. Now we have to move up to the iliacs because holy crap, this is now more invasive, right? So it's not,
Mhm.
they get that they have to pick this, but they get very,
Yeah, I mean, that
Yeah.
is one of the added benefits of being directly in the service. So when you book to Cerner, your
Yeah.
appointment is in Cerner, and when you document in Cerner, the nurses in the room can update the actual code to be more accurate to what was done.
So
I
like
think the
when
surgeons-
we're updating it to what the surgeon, so like, obviously I don't know what that looks, well, I know what that looks like ish, but I don't, like if he's done a iliofemoral endarterectomy and now let's just say he did a carotid,
Mhm.
he's gonna have to tell us what he's done.
How do you currently confirm what was done on your
We do,
nursing operative
like,
report?
at the very end, we,
You debrief.
he will say actually, it's not us, he'll initiate the debriefing, like
Yeah.
we'll say the counts are correct, and
Yeah.
then at that point, usually the surgeon will say, yeah, we did a total knee replacement, or we did an EVAR with a tibial angioplasty,
Yeah. So
right? So then,
we teach that if the code that was booked is generally accurate at the end of the case, you don't touch the code. And if you add additional details, you can free text those details. But if the code that was booked really doesn't match what was done in the case, we ask them to modify and update the code to something that's more accurate in your library. And that doesn't impact any pick list. It just impacts what is signed to the record.
so that's because, so then that I think is going to be hard, because say they did.
So they
say
can add
booked-
two, they can add
say
multiple
they booked-
codes
say
too.
they booked an iliofemoral endarterectomy with
Mm-hmm.
angioplasty, but let's just say hypothetically they didn't do that. They went in and went, oh, wow, you know what? No, now we're actually going to do a femoral bypass with graft. That means that
Yeah.
people are going to have to now, and I don't even know, they're
Nope.
going to have to look at a different number and put it somewhere.
The way that we can do that is that we would put attempted next to the initial booked one if they got in there and they were attempting that, and then we make the new procedure.
We as
and
the nurses have to do that?
you can update the procedure during the documentation, right? It's how you confirm what was done with the surgeon. And then when they write their operative note, they can also add additional color and detail.
So
It doesn't have to
we
be.
have to do that. That's something we
If the booked procedure was incorrect on a large scale, that we always teach that nursing should set the code that was documented to something that's more accurate. And that can be done retrospectively too. If it's found that in error, a nurse didn't update a code, you can always go back into the record to fix it if need be. But yeah, we teach that.
Isn't the surgeon ultimately responsible for what he did though? And
Yeah,
updating
but
the code as well?
so the code isn't updatable on the surgeon's part when it comes to what's booked and what's scheduled. That flows through the nursing operative record. And then the operative record flows to the surgeon's note. So the nurses are actually the ones who are the locus of control for what is the code that is finalized on the record. Because you wouldn't want to.
I would say it just like that. Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
it's just the way that
Yeah.
Cerner is, and we have been we've taught to that. And so
Has that been met with resistance, or has that been a learning curve for people as
learning
you've seen
curve,
at
I would
the
say.
different sites?
It's a learning curve, and especially in sites where acuity is really high and codes change frequently, we generally find that the free text description is the best thing to update. And if the nurse in the room is concerned that the code isn't accurate but doesn't know what to put there, to let their clinical resource nurse know, and then they can help them pick a
So
correct
free
code
text,
after
you
the
mean,
case.
so free text, you mean we can just type it in?
Well, you have the code, which is a discrete line. You have to have a code on every finalized case. And then below that, there's a box that you can add free text to. So if I want to write something that the doctor's telling me in a hurry and I didn't get the chance to fix the code, I write my free text, I finalize my record, I tell my CRN that I need help picking a more accurate code, and they can unfinalize, pick a better code, and finalize that record for the,
Oh,
for the
good God.
patient.
Okay.
It's just the way that, again, what you book now does go through forward to documentation and get finalized on the record. That's the
Okay.
major,
Okay.
it's all one linear process. Whereas
Okay.
before, ORMIS could be what it wanted to be and the paper could be what it wanted to be, and they never talked before.
Now they're talking.
Now they're talking.
Okay. Which is a good thing. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Yeah,
Thank you for your
so much for your
patience. We
time.
Thank you,
appreciate, I think
Cheryl.
you're one of the few who's asked those kind of questions in that depth. So we appreciate that.
And I just want to say, Cheryl, it is very evident that you guys have been understanding a bit of Cerner's nomenclature and stuff with the naming of this. And it's
Yeah.
this flow has definitely been more flowy and smooth.
See, like
So
the
I
reason I left, I can see all the ones I created, like iliofemoral endarterectomy.
awesome.
I
It's awesome.
knew you guys were going to put endarterectomy first, but I didn't want our people to go, where is it? Because they go, where is
Mhm.
it? It's not there. So that's why I kept it in A, B, C, D, E, F, G, because I knew you guys would come to me and go, swing over. And I knew that. I was like, oh, that's why I created it that way. Because Mary said you might as well. And I know Leegee's were because the CRN before her, she did nasal da 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 da. And a lot of people didn't like that and they blamed that lady. But she has the smallest service in essence back then. So she changed hers a way long time ago and people really met resistance with that. But it's like, that's what it's going to be, nasal da 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 da.
Yeah.
So we were trying to save ourselves time. That's what
And
we're doing.
when we get closer to go live, we can
Yeah.
help you put together short lists of your codes that you can make accessible to your team if you want to laminate them, or if you want to put them on a shared drive, a file that you can delete and re-enter as you need to, that kind of thing. We're looking to try and make it accessible to those nurses if they don't know where to look, something they can search.
Because I think they're going to be bouncing, like Rochelle knows, we bounce room to room to room to room. Like, I mean, they're just going to be, everybody's going to be inundated and overwhelmed.
Initially,
like-
yes, for sure.
Like we have Rochelle, we have like the preference lists in the room, in the binders.
Yeah.
Those are going to always be updated and current. So I couldn't see why they couldn't utilize their preference books a bit more. Do you know what I mean? Looking at the preference list, right? Because that would have the current codes that they need. And over time, it's just, we're not going to memorize them all. They'd have to actually take a look, right?
Yeah, and our design
Okay.
team does provide this mapping back to you as something that you could have as a mapping document if staff preferred to look for the old codes initially until they got used to the new naming conventions. The booking clerks often hold those too as well. In case somebody gives them an old code, they can then see what the new one should be.
I think the booking clerks would keep that, but I don't know if our staff should have it here. I think we have to, we're not children, we're grown men and women, and we have to adapt. This is the way it is.
Yeah,
Like,
okay.
whether we like it or not, we know it's
Yeah.
coming and it has to be this way, because I think from my understanding of going to Cerner is that all hospitals can talk to each other. Everything is the same.
Yep.
Everybody's, you can book and do, and somewhere in some land, it makes better sense than Ormus, I think.
It's shared, at least
Yeah.
it's a shared, right?
Yeah.
Shared method.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.
Okay, talk to you sometime.
Bye.
Bye, guys.